Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the NERDWatch podcast. I, of course, am G Money. Here in another lovely Monday evening. It is Monday Night NERDWatch right here in the heart of Wailuku Town on the beautiful island of Maui in the great state of Hawaii. And we are here to talk everything about nerd. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Also, coming up, we've got your latest comic books, your latest movie releases. And we're going to talk about a fellow NERDWatch's disgust with a Netflix horror remake that you get to watch in 2 weeks. Well, yeah, about 2 weeks. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? First off, let me bring up the crew, shall I? This gentleman here, he is our producer, seducer. He just came in the house from watching his dog take a leak. So good on him. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Kai Kai. How you doing, Kai? Oh, that is good. Disgusting. Disgusting. Anyway.
Well, have you looked in the mirror lately?
Wow. What a jerk. What a jerk. Also, joining us this evening, he is our Dark Knight.
I'm timing this, you know.
He is the man who fights crime and battles for the sanctity of safe sex because he wears a cape, a cowl, and a utility belt with prophylactic in it. It's crazy. You should check it out. He is also our punk rock superstar, our horror aficionado, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, he belongs to us. Please give a warm round of applause and fear the dark for Gannon.
I belong to no one.
That took you 29 seconds.
And I swear to God, you said something about Kai doing something to his dog's back.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think I said he took a leak on his dog's back.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's what I heard too.
Well,
that's what I said.
Bringing my dogs into this.
Why are you taking a leak on your dog, man? That's the bigger question.
That is a big question.
Don't you have a toilet where you live?
Yeah.
First of all, I took my dog outside to go to the bathroom.
Your dog's name is Percival?
Your dog's name is Percival, for real?
No.
Oh, I was excited.
Oh, he said first of all. My bad.
I thought his dog's name was Percival.
Oh,
wow.
First of all.
That's the most pretentious name I've ever heard.
Well, listen.
I mean, it's G. He looks pretentious.
Well,
no, he does not. Greg does not look like someone that takes himself very seriously at all.
Not at all. Yeah, not at all. Speaking of dog balls,
is Todd here?
The next best thing. He is our chairman of the comic book board, the godfather of comic books, the sinister minister of Maui Comic-Con, and the self-proclaimed comic master.
He doesn't look like he's into this.
He's deaky. He's definitely leaky, and his bevvities can be a little streaky. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Dr. Leaky. Daddy Leaky is a leak. I like you can't say nothing.
Like the segue into my intro was dog's balls.
That's true. Sorry.
I thought you were going to introduce Phormat with that.
Phormat is still well, he's here, but I'll introduce him as soon as he gets back on the mic. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, what a lovely week it's been. We got a few things to talk about, which would be a lot of fun. Of course, as you all know, there was reigning supreme at the box office yet again. Spider-Man No Way Home. Is there any way of stopping this train? Man, this thing is on a rocket ship to at least top 2? Goodness gracious. Now, Marvel's going to own the top 2 movies of all time. It's going to be Endgame, and it's going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. This is unbelievable. Because it looks like that No Way Home is going to be eclipsing James Cameron's blue alien epic, Avatar. Every time I go back and watch it, it still sucks. I still hate that movie. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna watch it again because I knew the new one's coming out soon. But golly, that movie sucks. I just can't. I can't get into it. I don't know what it is. I just don't dig it.
I mean, I don't think it sucks as hard as you think it sucks, but I definitely do not see how they could be like hyping this multi-billion-dollar production company theme park and sequel movies. It's like, how the hell? And
That's right.
they haven't made any of that crap yet, and we're supposed to like want it now.
Yeah. And then it's awesome. And then it takes a long time because we're developing a new technique to film it yet again. So
right. You're gonna make the Halo more graphic.
Apparently, you can stick it in more places than the first film. So
I know there's gonna be like this guy who figures out how to Halo with a human with a pterodactyl or whatever.
Yeah. If there's not an Avatar adult store that has Halo holes, I'm out.
I think that's what they're trying to get the dildo technology to make take home Halos.
Yeah. Oh, that's freaking awesome. Anyway, Pocket. That's the name of the podcast right there. Pocket Halo. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's rib for your pleasure or her.
Hey,
well,
Greg.
I don't know. Yeah.
Stop.
Greg, everybody can relax. I'm back.
Oh, good. Thanks. I appreciate it. Well, since you're back, you can comment on what we're about to talk about there, sir. Because I hope it comes up. That's not going to be good if it doesn't.
Archive 81 sucks. Don't watch it. End of review.
What?
Great. Thank you.
Is that not what we're going to talk about?
I thought we were, but hey, listen. Before we do that, give me 1 minute. He is the comic book artist extraordinaire. He is the creator of Disco Thunder Groovebone, Mohawk's Thunder, and his perennial work, the Kukui Project. He's working on issue 12 as we speak. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the Bigfoot-haired, Hawaiian salted Superman. It's Todd Bernardi!
Aloha.
How you doing, Todd?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
You sound terrible. You don't sound as good as you did last week, but we can hear you.
Huh.
Yeah.
Should I log off and log back in? See if that helps?
Hey, I hate to ask this, but could you put the mic to your mouth to see if the proximity effect is working? Just because I'm curious.
It's stuck at the edge of my dressing table.
Let's hear it.
Is this better?
Oh yes, that's much better. It sounds good now. Just get a little closer to it. All right, make love to that mic. You're good at that, Todd. Yeah, just make love to it a little bit. Todd, how you been?
I haven't made love to a mic in a long time.
How you been, Todd? You been well?
Yeah, man. How have you been?
I've been doing okay. How was dinner?
It's wonderful.
Oh, was it wonderful? That's good. That's good to hear. I'm so.
Yeah.
What did
you?
How
was your dinner?
I was all right. I haven't eaten yet. I'm going to eat after the show. What did you have for dinner?
We made I made mochiko chicken.
Wait a minute. The Hawaiian
Well,
salted
man, tune into the NERDWatch. Let's just talk about dinner for 2 hours.
We were only going to do it until you said something, Gannon.
I know. Now it's a 2 hour. Now we're going to go around the table. It's going to be. Hey, that's the name of the nerd.
Talk about their favorite fried chicken.
NERDWatch around the table, around the dinner table. That's going to be awesome. Anyway,
like dinner watch.
I was going to start the comic book list, but once again, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. He is our man in black. He is the master of card tricks, master of bird tricks with his pants and card tricks with his hands. He is also our gaming guru, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to Phormat.
Yo.
Hi, Phormat.
What's up, everybody?
I need to know what a bird trick is.
I'm still wondering what that is.
It's like dove magic.
He does. It's aviary magic is what it is. I'm
Like
telling
the,
you.
like the bird flu?
If you do a YouTube search for Kartik, you'll understand quickly
Yeah.
where this all came from.
Yeah. This is it's all there in black and white, clear as crystal. Just kidding. Anyway,
There's a little green in there. There's a little
yeah.
green.
Is it on Urban Dictionary?
No.
It says on YouTube.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm just
I know
asking.
what's I do know what's in the Arabian dictionary.
The
Wow.
Arabian dictionary.
I know
Okay.
what's in the Urban Dictionary.
I think there's words in there
All right, forget it.
of
I'm
an
an
Arabic
idiot.
nature.
Yeah. If you ever want to have oh no, I'm not going to do it on the show. It's not
If
appropriate.
you ever want to hear what the people from Aladdin should have sounded like,
Well, Todd Bernardi,
Yep.
Gannon, Phormat, and
Todd's still here.
the owner of Maui Comics and Collectibles, Dr. Freaky Daddy Leaky. It's time, once again, to find out what's new this week in the
On
world.
Greg's cable. Oh wait,
No, in the world of the comic books. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I just want to let you guys know that we are simulcasting on Facebook at facebook.com/NERDWatch, on YouTube at NERDWatch Nation, and on
There you
Twitch at
go.
NERDWatch 808.
Get
Uh,
those
like
buttons.
us-
I'm simulcasting my OnlyFans as we speak.
Like it, subscribe, whatever it is you got to do to the Nerd Watch. Tell your friends, tell your family, and of course we have the chat rolling. So if you guys say anything, let us know in the chat. We see Joel in the chat. What's up, Joel? In the chat, say hi to us, and we'll say hi back.
Tell your
Questions,
friends
comments,
and
whatever.
family about Gannon's OnlyFans.
Dare I say this? If you'd like to critique anyone's looks on this show, we're more than willing to have that conversation.
Let's start with Greg.
Let's start with me. Anyway, comic books for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Man. Uh-oh. Maybe I don't have the list. Hang on.
No.
Oh, man.
No.
You talking about the website
What a
that's been down?
professional podcast. He started without even
I
having it ready.
know. I know. I had it go.
Not that we don't
something
have
happened.
a comic book retailer right there who probably should be giving the list.
No. It's more fun when I do it. That way he can comment on it.
I believe
That
All
way
right.
he gets here for no reason.
No, he's here for no reason.
I believe
I'm
the
here to
site went
correct
down.
him when he makes mistakes.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay. Fair enough.
All right, here we go. All right, so I'm going to be doing this from a new website. The other one has been down. I don't know why. But if my list is wrong, Alika, please.
There used to be a really good, and I had the same problem trying to find it again. But there was this good website that did weekly comics, and you could
yes.
it's down.
break it down by publisher. But
Yeah.
I haven't been able to find it. I usually send the link to my customers, but
Yeah.
can't find it.
It's a real shame. It's a real bummer. It had you could see the covers and everything. So if I happen,
I think that it went down when Diamond, got the monopoly got split up. You know what I mean?
Could
oh
be.
really?
I haven't used it in
wow.
a while, so
It's a good one.
Because
But
that,
that's-
was like
that-
a
that was
single
over a
source of
year ago.
information, and now you need like 4 different websites to figure out what's going on.
All right. Well, hopefully this is correct. Here we go. Coming out this week. It is in alphabetical order, so I'll skip around to the most important ones. From Marvel, Alien number 9 is out this week. Along with Alien number 9, a Raza variant cover. Also, one of Todd's inspirations for drawing comics, Amazing Spider-Man number 88 is out today.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Garfield.
Greg, you ignorant slut.
I see a lot of Jim Davis in the Kukui project.
All right, that's fair.
Uh,
Also, from Marvel, Avengers Tech on number 6. What the frig is that?
It's
That's the-
Baron mech suits.
Oh,
Um,
I thought it was going to be that Aha song.
there's also
Tacone.
Avengers Tech on number 6. Oh, this is number 6 of 6.
It's
And there's a Peach Kamaboko variant.
Nah,
You said that kind of right.
Peach Kamaboko. Got it.
that's right.
It's a drink at Starbucks, Greg. That's all you got to know.
Okay, gotcha. How do I order it really pretentious like? And
everybody
then
knows that Kamaboko is pink.
Kamaboko is pink. Yes.
You know what
Also,
else is pink, Greg?
shut up. Shut up. Also, new release today from Boom Studios, Basilisk. That's right, Basilisk.
Can you say that with more lisps?
Basilisk is out today. Also from
Nice.
Marvel, Black Panther Legends #3.
Ooh.
Hey, listen, tomorrow it's Black History Month, so you got to get these out. Tell me.
Somehow that's racist. I don't know why you saying it sounds that way, but for some strange reason, when you say that, especially like that, it sounds kind of racist.
It definitely is not.
You sound like you're mocking it.
I'm not mocking it. From Boom Studios, Buffy the Vampire Slayer #34 is out today. Or out this week.
Right there.
I take it back. That's the most racist thing you've said.
Oh, is it? Wow. I first of all, the gentleman in which you're referring, the creator of that, no longer has any connection to the comic, does he?
I don't think he has for years, man. I think he just signed off on rights or license or whatever he does.
Makes sense. Also from Image Comics, Todd, listen up, Todd. Image Comics.
I'm not listening.
Shut up. Crossover #11.
Oh, that's a good book.
Yeah, crossover #11. It's part 4 of Meanwhile. That's out today. That's out this week. Also, I hate this. From Marvel Comics, Daredevil, Woman Without Fear #2.
Yeah.
Why?
Anyway,
Why do you hate that?
once again, the reason why I think I said this before, and Gannon agrees with me. Why does she have to be Daredevil? Can't she just be Elektra?
Whoa. I mean, I may have said that, but not to agree with you.
Listen, I
If you're
agree.
gonna
You're on the
I
right side of
retract
history
that.
you're on the right side of history when G Money references.
Look, I agree with most of Gannon's misogynist statements.
Oh,
And that one I agree.
Whoa. Calm down there, buddy.
Whoa, what did I say?
Calm down there, buddy.
Sorry.
Look, Greg, the reason I thought you would be into this is because you love eugenics, and now Daredevil's not blind anymore.
That's true.
I think
Not the eugenics part. I don't like
I
eugenics.
think the real reason Greg doesn't like it is because he just has a problem with Greeks, because it's a racial thing.
Yeah, I don't like the Greeks.
I didn't know nachos were Greek.
Also, from one that I've never heard of before, from Aftershock Comics, Dark Red, Where Roads Lead.
You don't get much Aftershock, unless someone pre-orders Aftershock, you don't really.
See, this is why Alika should be doing the list, because he'll actually bring up books he's selling.
All right, well, listen.
The reason why it's easier for G to do it actually is because the multiple distributors. I used to get one list from Diamond and I could read it. Yeah. If I were to, I would actually have to try to do all the bullshit that Greg is doing. So I prefer him to do that. And then I'll just tell him if I'm
do all the what now?
He said a naughty word, but that's okay. It's for now.
Bullshit's not. As long as Bull's in front of it, you can. It's fine. Just like asshole.
Whoa! Listen, stop.
You can say ass as long as hole is not behind it.
No, you can say, wait. What about what does it work for horse?
No.
Can you say horse shit?
No, Todd. Enough.
Yeah, what? I'm just saying, if it works for a bull,
guys, everybody needs to calm down, because you can say pussy as long as a cat comes after it.
Whoa! Hey,
that's true.
You guys are such immature idiots. All right, listen.
I'd rather see a cat. I'd rather see a willow come than a cat.
Todd, stop. Todd,
what?
I'm going to ban you.
Why?
By the way, Todd, I got a video I got to show you later. Remind me.
Wait, G, you're gonna ban him, as in cancel him?
Yeah, I'm gonna cancel him.
Oh, man.
I knew you would be the one to come after me, Greg.
Yeah.
You and your comic skaters.
We're so topical.
We're gonna take a vote here at NERDWatch and ban you like they did Mouse in Tennessee. What we're gonna do.
We should talk about that.
We will. We'll talk about that tonight.
I'll be 3 hours of Todd talking.
I know. That's true.
Because I'm the only one that's read it.
No, I read Mouse when I was a teen.
Todd, you're the only one that reads.
It's true.
Wait, listen. To be fair, so does Aron. He reads.
He wrote the novelization of Speed 2.
That's right. He did. He did. Also, an anime comic coming out. A show that I really want to watch, by the way. Dr. Stone, Volume 20, is out this week. Also, from Marvel, Fantastic Four Life Story number 6 is out today. Along with that is Fantastic Four Reckoning War Alpha number 1. Reckoning War Alpha number 1, excuse me. That's what I meant. Also, from Image Comics, Giger 80-page giant number 1.
I think it's Geiger.
Isn't it? It's not. Are you sure? I think it's Giger, isn't it?
I think it's Geiger.
It's Giger.
No, it's Giger. Also from Dynamite Comics, Hell Sonia number 2. That's out this week.
I forgot that was even a thing.
Yeah.
They're really milking that Red Sonia license over there.
Yeah, Red Sonia, Vampirilla, all that stuff's not.
They're going
There
all
are
out.
people who get the bad girl
Those,
stuff, but
those books. I mean, Alika will laugh at me for making fun of this, but like they have like 5 books maybe total on that publisher, but they have 18 variants per book a month.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, it's like, although they do pick the right variants for the kind of people that buy those books. Like a lot of them are. It's the only book you'll find a Linsner variant on. You know, like Jeremy Lin, Jim, whatever his name is.
That's why it'd be hypocritical of me to talk trash on it, but I just think it's funny how few books they actually put out.
Yeah, it's true.
When you really look at how many titles they actually publish, this isn't actually that much compared to other guys.
Yeah, it's not.
Also coming out today from Image Comics, New Masters number 1 out this week. Also from Oni Press, Rick and Morty presents Heretics of Rick number 1 out this week.
Todd's gonna read that with his pants off.
Is it a better experience with your pants off?
Yeah.
Everything's a better experience with your pants off.
That's a good point. Also,
try
from
to get a bowl
Marvel,
of cereal after this with your pants off.
Listen, let me know if this is a reboot, a remake, what this is. Sabretooth number 1 from Marvel is out this week.
It's just a new standalone story.
Got it.
I forget the creative team on it, but Sabretooth's one of my favorite Marvel characters.
All right,
so.
somebody tell me about this one then. Savage Spider-Man number 1 from Marvel today this week. Yes, he's so savage.
He takes his shirt and he pulls it over and puts it through his the neck hole.
Alika's lying. He just goes around insulting people everywhere.
Yeah, he's just savage. No, the cover looks like he's like
emotional damage.
He looks like he's part wolf spider or something. Like he's this big. Thing.
I can share that with you. Here it is.
Oh,
look at that. That does look pretty cool.
Going through puberty.
That looks awful.
Kinda. Not bad. It looks all right.
It's the worst thing that happened to Spider-Man since Spider-Man 3.
Wow. Also, from Image Comics, Spawn number 326.
Whoa, the record-breaking Spawn 326.
The record-breaking Spawn 326. And just because I know that there are fans in here, here is Spawn cover number 326. It's Ghost Rider Spawn. Oh,
that's
look,
terrible.
it's a Spawn chick.
That's the worst thing that happened to Spawn since Spider-Man 3.
Wow. All right. All right, I got you. Yes, Todd, please inform us about your Lord and Savior, Todd McFarlane.
I think that they're this month maybe all year long, they're celebrating the 30th anniversary of Image Comics. It came out in 1992.
Wow.
Sweet.
And so he's going to be bringing a bunch of characters back into the book that were in other books and a bunch of other, just to try to celebrate the anniversary.
Got my fingers crossed on Chapel.
Also coming out this week, Star Wars Crimson Reign number Deuce from Marvel, of course. Is
it called the Deuce?
It's number 2, as in number Deuce.
Crimson Reign Deuce.
Also from Marvel, Star Wars Halcyon Legacy number 1.
Hey, G.
Yeah.
I posted in the private chat the DC list.
Oh, good. I'll get that momentarily. Also, from Marvel, Star Wars High Republic number 14.
420, y'all.
Yep. For those of you that are also interested, Stranger Things, Erica the Great from Dark Horse Comics. I just finished that show, by the way. Stranger Things.
They took you that long?
It took me a while.
You weren't watching Stranger Things while we were all reviewing it?
It took me a long time. I did not.
I thought you were watching that with us.
No, I thought that the first season was all right. Second season was forgettable, but the third season is probably where it kicks into gear, I think.
It's really good.
Yeah. The third season's excellent.
It's already played out, but season 3 kind of brings it back.
Yep. What the not to get too in the weeds about this, but what the creators do well and the writers do well is the human element of being a teen in the 80s, which I think was really cool. The human element and the human interaction between all the kids was great. I love that. The sci-fi stuff, not so much. It's not. It's kind of it almost feels like it's thrown in there, which is.
I kind of feel like that's not the point, though.
I know it's not, but
it's really how these kids deal with it. Because I mean, it's really hard to do sci-fi anymore, where you just don't fall on tropes.
Yeah, it's very true. Also, to get back in the list, also coming out today from Albatross Comics, Eric Powell's The Goon.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so The Goon is out today as well. Goon number 14 this week. And finally, for our good friends at, two more, by the way, from Marvel, X Lives of Wolverine number Deuce is out. And, of course, from IDW Publishing, TMNT Ongoing Volume number 1 is out this week as well. So it's called the IDW Correction.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does anybody here know what IDW stands for?
I am unaware, but here, let me show you this.
Did you just say unaware butt hair?
Unaware butt hair.
Well, gee, that book has already been released before. That's just a.
Oh, is it okay?
You idiot! You're fired.
Big shout out to Hawaiian Nomad who's in the chat. He says aloha. Big shout out to Doc who's in the chat, and of course Jamie in the chat as well. And just to give you a quick heads up, for those that care about DC, because that's the second comic book comic book publisher that's going down the tubes. Arkham City, The Order of the World number 5, Batman 120, Dark Knights of Steel number 4. It's a what if, Gannon. You should add that to your collection.
I already have it.
Detective
Oh wait,
Comics.
I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to say I already have it. My bad.
Oh. Also, Detective Comics 1051, Joker Presents a Puzzle Box number 7 of 7. Cool. Also,
hey, can we start the show again where I don't incriminate Alika?
I'll
just
see if
edit out that comment.
Like they've said that if people are subscribers, you can like put it in there. They're not supposed to pick it up or whatever. Honestly, like who gives a crap? There's nothing.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh my gosh, you broke Street Date. What's gonna happen?
Well, the thing is, their distribution system is such that they don't tell you some of these things they send and they arrive after the street date. So I get the box. I'm supposed to put it on the shelf. Other stuff is like a week early, and they don't have a normalized distribution system because they use FedEx. They're on FedEx schedule, and so we're expected to remember the street date of every book just naturally. I don't care. I get the box. I bust it out. I send it to my subscribers. So most people don't pick it up the day of, but Gannon's addicted.
Oh, he's a special customer, isn't he? That's what
definitely
it is.
Special.
You chose a good adjective.
Well, also coming out from DC.
You ever see the movie The Special?
What?
That's good. You ever see the movie The Special?
Yes, I have.
It's great. We should talk about that. Screw the comic list. Let's talk about the movie The Special tonight.
You know what else is kind of an interesting movie like The Special? That movie with Woody Harrelson where he's the superhero, Defendor. You guys ever see that?
Oh, we're not talking about the same movie at all right now, Greg.
No, I know we're not. I'm just saying that you brought up.
I actually found that
did kind of lead with. You know what else is a cool movie in the same line? Then you shut him down
Defendor?
because it's a different movie.
Yeah. Yeah, what the hell? No, anyway, go ahead.
I
Alika.
found that Defendor DVD at a garage sale, and I just bought it out of curiosity. I still haven't watched it.
Oh, dude,
man.
you need to watch it. You need to watch
You're
it.
like the biggest Woody Harrelson person I know.
I know. I gotta get.
So you gotta
some
see
more
it,
Woody in my
dude.
system.
You were telling me that you wanted to see Woody Harrelson be Splinter in the next TMNT movie.
Did I say
So,
that?
yeah. Pretty
It's
sure.
not a bad casting, but I don't remember saying that.
Real quick, Justice League
can play
Incarnate number
Krang.
4 is out from DC Comics. I don't know what Justice League Incarnate is. From DC
I can
Comics,
explain it to you.
Monkey Prince number 1.
Of 12.
1 of 12. Yeah. Monkey Prince number 1 of 12. Also, Suicide Squad number 12 is out today. And finally, World of Krypton or Krypton
Yeah,
number 3.
more story about Krypton before it exploded. Everybody's favorite.
Everybody's favorite. So, ladies
Hey,
and
they
gentlemen,
squeezed a TV show out of that for a few seasons, so
Hey,
apparently there
I-
is a market for it.
I haven't
think
watched it,
lasted
but I
2
do have
whole
it.
seasons.
Yeah, it lasted 2 whole seasons. I
you know
haven't
what?
watched it,
That's
but I
longer than
have
Firefly lasted, and everybody loves that.
it. True. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. That was your comic book list for this week. You guys are amazing. So check out your comics.
Why
Go
are
to
they
Maui
amazing? They
Comics and
didn't do anything.
Collectibles. Go to Maui Comics and Collectibles in the heart of Wailuku Town if you live on Maui, and that's in Request Music. Go check it out. Great comics, great folks. And just like I always say, ask for Alika, see what happens. So there you go. Anyway,
That sounds
Still
sketchy.
trying to make that a thing.
Now it's what?
You're still trying to make that a thing.
we definitely should.
It's not working.
Let's talk about. I mean, well, we
I
might
feel
as
like
well.
we shouldn't be listening in on this.
I was just about to say I was just about to say I'm about to
Mute Alika.
mute Alika. Just
You might
because
want to
he's-
mute it now.
There we go. All right,
There you go.
There we go.
Sounds like he's about to lay in with the parental teachings.
Hey, talk about the birds and the bees.
He's busting into some Master Splinter mode right now.
Well,
Yeah,
let's.
Idolizing Woody Harrelson.
Oh, he's back. He's
Okay,
talking
He's
he's
to
back.
us.
He can
Well-
unmute himself, I believe. So
What
let's
do you-
talk about this really quick. So we can get some thoughts. We might as well get him in early while we can.
Get him in.
A Tennessee school district has banned a Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel about the
Oh, this
Holocaust
is
over
not
its
gonna be
violence,
quick.
nudity, and swearing. The
But-
McMinn County School
You
Board
said
voted
quick.
unanimously to remove Art Spiegelman's book Mouse from classrooms on January 10th, according to meeting minutes.
Spiegelman.
Yeah, the book,
Yeah, you were
completed in
saying that wrong.
1991, tells the story of the author's father and his experiences as a Holocaust survivor in comic book form.
That's
The
crazy.
school board cited
His
its
father
graphic
was a
scenes.
mouse?
Yes, no.
Jesus.
The school board cited its graphic scenes and profanity as among its objections to the reading. Let's take it around the table. I might as well go to Todd first, so he can get his thoughts out.
Oh,
Todd,
great.
Todd,
I'm gonna take a nap.
everybody,
Let me
get
know
a
when you guys are
drink.
done.
Everybody, get a drink.
I already
I'm
got
gonna
my
watch
drink over there.
Titanic. I'll be right back.
This is,
Todd Bernardi.
I'm gonna have
What?
to wheel
Let's
in
see.
my light board and want you guys all to take notes.
Oh dear God! Someone shoot me, please.
It was okay. Let's do it this way, Todd. What? I think I know how you feel, but please express yourself.
But that's not. That's gonna be worse.
All right. So
Why
what?
don't you Sophia Petrillo this and just
Yeah.
all right, the year
Okay.
is 1920.
All right. Let me go first then, and then you can react to me.
Just,
What I
Greg,
think
you ignorant slut.
What I think the Tennessee School Board did, I don't think it was for an 8th grade curriculum. I think at that age, and this is just me, I think at that age, Mouse is a fantastic book to
When did you
immerse
read it,
them
G?
in history. I read that when I was like in 9th grade. So, no, not 9th. Yeah, 10th grade.
10th
yeah.
grade,
Yeah. So
a junior in high school.
yeah, no,
You're gonna
a
force it on elementary kids.
a sophomore. No, it was for an 8th grade curriculum. I think that Mouse does have I think this is not. I don't think Mouse is gratuitous in that respect. I think Mouse is actually a very. I think it's a very
damn all the time.
It's a very. It's
They
a
need to remove it from the shelves.
It's a. I think it's a very good teaching tool, especially at that age. I think if you
are like into mice.
Negative. If you don't know what Mouse is, Mouse, of course, is the Holocaust story told about the mouse being the Jews and the Nazis being the cats. Yeah, it's actually kind of a heavy book, but I think at that age, I think it's okay to, introduce younger kids, and I think it's a perfect way to do so, and because it makes it not only informative but also entertaining for the art and the way they tell the story. How can I put this? I don't think it was a good idea. They shouldn't have done that. But apparently they're using another book for this teaching. But I mean, I think they're
using Mein Kampf instead.
I know what I think the problem is, though, is that what you're doing is, I think this is a little more sensationalized than it is. When we talk about, I don't like when we use things like banning books. I don't think, I think you can find that. I think you're going to be able to find Mouse in your local library. I think what this was a commentary on the curriculum that they were going to using, and they took Mouse out of it, which I still, to this day, I don't think. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think it was a good idea. I think Mouse is actually a pretty decent teaching tool. A matter of fact, like I said, I read it when I was in 10th grade, and it was fantastic. And
it's potentially even more engaging because of the format of how it's told, instead of just reading it as a prose novel or as a history book.
Right.
It's actually more beneficial for a younger reader to read it that way.
100%.
Because they're used to visual storytelling. Yeah, maybe kids don't read comics like other generations, but it's a little bit more accessible because of that format.
Now, would I be right in saying that even though it's a comic, this is still considered Mouse to this day is still considered literature, is it not, Todd? Would that be correct?
I mean, yeah, it depends on what your definition of literature is.
They want to feel surprised, for God's sake.
When it first, well, I mean, there are classics of literature, there are modern classics of literature, and then there are less contemporary literary works.
All right. Well, listen, let me make it easy for you, Todd, for the definition then. Is Mouse evergreen?
It had. I mean, after this school ban, it definitely has been. It went back on the bestseller list, and that was one of the things that I was going to say was when it first came out, they didn't know whether to classify it as nonfiction or not on the New York Times bestseller list.
Well, I think because
they were like, well, okay, we'll go to Art Spiegelman's dad's house, and if a 6-foot mouse answers the door, then we can put it on the nonfiction list. Otherwise, Nazis weren't cats, Jews aren't mice, and the visual metaphor really went over the people at the New York Times bestseller list.
I think I guess as far as this show goes, I think this show overall would probably definitely endorse Mouse as a great book for, I would say, I think 8th grade is a perfect introduction. I mean, all the school board would have to do is send a letter home to their parents that, we're going to be studying
the Holocaust. You wouldn't even need to do that. I mean, it's less violent than most video games.
I agree.
You're comparing it to things that are also in the classroom, but Mouse compared to other things, just like another Holocaust novel. And Frank,
right, I mean, I agree.
The 8th grade is the age that they're reading these things,
right?
Then they're not. One's not worse than the other. If they're not,
there's 8 instances of profanity in the book.
Right.
There is one
instance of violence and one instance of nudity, right? And there's a few instances
one
of
instance of nudity. And
right.
it's a good. I mean, I think that you're right when you say it's a good teaching tool because, that Art Spiegelman's still alive. He very much has to struggle with his relationship with his parents because his parents had to live through something so traumatic, and so they're on just at the beginning. The book talks about his interpersonal relationship with his father. Yeah. And his father finally sat down and, told him about something that was, very horrific and didn't want to relive or revisit, especially in front of his children. So he finally got to know that. He got to know more about his grandparents who didn't survive. There's a lot of really present. I mean, everybody thinks about this as a book, a historical artifact, but what he was, the relationship that he was developing with his father over the course of writing this book, this nonfiction book, brought that history into the present. And I think that that's something that, 8th graders need to learn, is that there are still Holocaust survivors out there. This is still, as it was still only 80 years ago. It was
agreed.
And you can still see, some of the devastation in Europe and in the Pacific still. I mean, there's still pillboxes down on the coast of Maui.
Yeah, this is once again, this is where I think parents should be given the opportunity to say, hey, listen, whether this is where they could say, listen, we're going to teach them out of this and give them the opportunity, at least to give them the option to. I don't think there was anything. I mean, we're not talking, Mouse isn't gratuitous by any stretch. No. So, I don't know.
I don't understand what you just said. Are you arguing for an opt-in for this community?
No.
What are you saying? What are you trying to get the parents' permission for?
No, what I'm telling you is that if they felt so strongly about the book, once again, it's not necessarily banned from like Tennessee. What they did they said they took it out of their curriculum. They weren't going to use Mouse as a teaching tool.
Yeah,
right.
I understand.
So you can get it at your local library. You can do that. What
Sure.
I'm saying is that I think Mouse is relevant enough that if you thought that there was something if the school board thought that there was something objectionable, right, that maybe you would give the parents the option of going, hey, listen, we're going to teach the Holocaust from this book, right, and give the parents to say, listen, we're going to give you a copy of the curriculum, right, and this is what this is, and give them the opportunity to see it. I don't think that there would be anything bad about that, because once you start quote unquote banning stuff, it just becomes more popular. Right. And everybody wants to get their hands on it, and everybody's going to want to read it. You know what I mean? Or listen to it. That's when you tell somebody they can't do.
They just put Mouse back on the bestsellers. I mean,
exactly. So it's just like anything else. Hey,
it's really difficult to get any copies at the source.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you suppress something, it just makes people want to see it more, if nothing more for the curiosity factor.
Yeah. Hey, look at Alex Jones, right, Alika?
What? I refuse to look at Alex Jones. I'm doing enough looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Jones, he made Pepe the Frog famous.
No, wait.
He made that artist a lot of money.
Wait. Todd.
Fury is so stoked on that.
No, Alex Jones did not make Pepe the Frog famous. The internet made Pepe the Frog famous.
That is true. That is true. That's very true.
Scottie Pippen?
No,
the internet. Pepe. Kathy in the chat said permission forms. They did it to us in school. I mean, I think it's these kids nowadays get more graphic visions or words and imagination art on TikTok, which is 100% true, and other media forms of writing. Kathy, I think you hit the nail right on the head. There is for you to take something like Mouse out and say that it's inappropriate or not the tool you want to use. There are so many other things that are more graphic that they see on their social medias than that book. 100%. So,
yeah, but they can't. They're not They can't like
They can't what?
What's the word? They can't do to social media what they're doing to the book.
Correct. Well, to be fair, they have tried. I mean, you know, we see it. I mean, not to get in a whole other can of worms, but you see people being deplatformed off of other social medias because of what they're thinking or what they've said online or whatever. We've seen that a lot in the last 2 years. Okay. I didn't want to name names.
That's not
but
entirely accurate because they deplatformed the person, not the platform.
That's true. That's true. Yes, they deplatformed the people. That's what I meant. Yeah, that's very true. Taffy also says they're doing these medias with their kids as well, which I think once again I find it hard to believe that there would be any parent that would have an issue with Mouse if they read it.
Good parents are doing these medias with them.
Right.
There are a lot of parents out there that are very like that's the media is the babysitter.
Sure. No, and that's
100%
right.
So
yeah. Now here's a question, so we can kind of wrap this up. Do you think because of what's going on, do you think that there's going to be a revisiting of them, quote unquote, banning the book from their curriculum? Do you think they're going to come back around on this, and do you think they're going to put it back?
No, I mean, would they have done that by now if they were?
Not necessarily, not now.
They're gonna dig their heels in. I don't think that they're gonna let this
I think they're going to take it one step further and just start burning copies of Mouse outside their schools.
I doubt that. I would definitely have a problem with that.
And that'd be something.
Hey, listen. There's only one good thing. There's only one good item that's good for burning. That's Dixie Chick albums, right, Alika?
Why are you picking on the Dixie Chicks? What did they do to you?
Most of that's like George W. Bush era. Yeah. Like most of the people listening to this podcast don't even remember that.
Yeah, I know.
I barely remember that.
Can you just let them make some money playing some music in a bar already? Calm down.
I know. Sorry. My bad. As far as this show, I think I can safely speak for everyone here that we think it was a huge mistake that Mouse was taken off the curriculum. I think Mouse is
I mean, it just makes the school district look stupid. Like they're like, yeah, of course those ignorant, hill people are going to be banning Mouse, and I guarantee you, there's at least one person who is advocating for the banning who legit doesn't think the Holocaust happened. You know what I mean? And everybody.
Well, let's not. Are you speculating?
I'm super speculating, but this is like fan fiction right here. And then the rest of the school board knows this guy is like an idiot and an anti-Semite. And they're like, God, please don't let CNN interview him. Please, dear God, don't let him be the one. It like that. I mean, that's what happened. Like, it's not just innocent. Like, ooh, we didn't like the nudity, or ooh,
sure.
Like there's legit people who are like, I'm glad we got a book about the Holocaust out of the classroom. That's legit what happened.
I mean, what if it's just literally like they just hate those dirty mice?
Oh, bro. Anyway, Joel in the chat says
that's what it is. I mean, and that's what the Nazis did. That's what fascist. That's what white supremacists love. They love to suppress education. So you've got a bunch of white supremacists being criticized in Mouse, and then you've got a bunch of other white supremacists saying, hey, we shouldn't criticize other white supremacists. They believe the same things that we believe.
First of all,
did they ever say, is there any knowledge on what actually was kept for the curriculum as opposed to what they took out?
They said they're using, they did put out a statement saying they're using another book for that, but it wasn't.
Well, no, what I mean is, what book is that? And from what perspective
that's from the
is
statement
it
that they made, they didn't say.
Oh, Stormfront put out this great pamphlet called "So You Think the Holocaust Happened."
First of all, I don't like the fact. Listen, we can criticize the board all we
It's G
want.
Money's Bible.
Let's not turn them into white supremacists because we don't.
Well,
What do you
that's-
mean?
you
I
know
don't
what?
understand. I don't understand. That's the white supremacist playbook. I mean, it's something that Hitler
Exactly.
did to
If it walks
Germany.
like a duck
He
and talks like a
censored
duck.
books. And
You're
he burned them.
I once again.
Are you regretting this now?
No, I'm not. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that we can't make assumptions that they are.
We
Look,
don't have to assume anything. We're talking about a book that is historically accurate about.
I agree with
genocide
you. I
that
agree
was
with you.
outlawed, and it was because of the content.
Listen.
And so we're not saying, and nothing about that assumes anything. That's
You're
exactly
shaping
what
that
happened.
incorrectly. It's not outlawed. They just took it out of their curriculum. You can find it at the local Tennessee library.
You can find it there, but you can't find it in the school library. You can't find it anywhere inside the school
whatever school board, whatever.
That's not outlawing though.
They're not
That's
outlawing
restricting.
it. That's what I'm saying. They're McMinn School Board, who's ever in McMinn County, they're not using that for the curriculum. But Mouse is still being sold. They're not outlawing it.
Well, that's
They're
what I'm saying
restricting
is you've got white supremacists suppressing education, which is
Yeah, but-
exactly what
Well,
Hitler did in Germany.
You're not finding a guy who's disagreeing with you. What I'm saying though is that this is an isolated incident with these guys, and I think they're wrong in doing it. But it's not like the state of Tennessee is banning Mouse from the bookshelves.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
already
saying that
covered
either.
that
All
point.
I'm saying is that you've got white supremacists that are upset that a book about white supremacists a book is criticizing white supremacists. That's
Once
all I'm
again,
saying.
that's what I'm saying is that
man.
you should use the word assumption or allegedly they may be white supremacists. We don't know. I don't know because I don't know these people. That's all I'm saying. So
Yeah,
Well,
you're
there's
right.
gotta
There's
be
good people on both sides, right, Greg?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and you can just clock it in for the record. But
go ahead.
at least a couple of those guys on that board are white supremacists.
Well, okay. That would be your opinion. Fair enough. I can
That's not an
say that's your.
opinion. There's only a certain kind of person who would go along with it.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessarily true because I think there's a huge factor in that they probably haven't read the book.
I agree with
They're
that
a
as
lot
well.
like the reviewers that talk bad about a movie or something in the theater, but
and
they've never
watch
seen
it.
it.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm
You're
sure
right.
there's some
only
people on
one
that board.
good book in Tennessee, and it's the Holy Bible.
Do you wait a minute?
No instances of violence.
Do you honestly
or,
think?
I don't
discrimination
believe.
in that.
I don't think that the people who approve it to be on the curriculum don't necessarily I don't think that assumption means much about it, but we all know that it's about a factual telling of the Holocaust, and
We're not getting.
We don't
pushback
all
from
know
that.
that.
Well,
I haven't read the book. I'm only getting all my
you don't have
information
to
from
read
you
the book
guys.
to know it's a factual
So
telling
it's
about
not the
Holocaust.
same
In fact,
as
part
me
of how
reading
they-
the book. I don't know the info. I know
when
the
book is
info
put on
out
the
of
curriculum,
context
it's
because
put
of
on
what you're
because it's a
saying.
factual telling of the Holocaust.
Okay. Like
You
I
don't
said,
have
but
to know that the Diary of Anne Frank's. You don't have to read it to know that's a factual telling of the Holocaust, but that's why it's on the curriculum.
fair. I agree. Now that I also understand. Well, what I think what Phormat's point is though is that there are probably people on that school board that didn't read that book that still made that decision, and I agree with that.
Yeah, and I can also say there's people who put it on the curriculum without having read it. I don't.
Yeah,
think
but
that's pertinent to
you
the
are
point.
attributing that to being racist.
Yeah.
There's some
that's
people
true.
who know what's in that book and still want it gone. They don't have to have read it to know what's in it.
What?
Again, you're
Yeah,
assuming.
you do.
No,
you got to
don't.
know what's in there.
I just said what's in it. It's a factual telling of what happened in the Holocaust.
But I'm
right.
getting that from you, not from the book.
Right. Phormat's saying that
Everybody
he's
who
not
has something to do with the decision about this book knows it's a factual telling about the Holocaust.
right.
Nobody's
But
ignorant of that fact.
once again, though, I think Phormat's point is that he hasn't read it, so he's only going off of what you're saying that it is. And I understand what he's saying, and that's exactly what these guys on the school board decided.
Well,
to do.
but the school board had read it. Everybody on the school board had read it,
And that's
they
why
said it in the article that they all read it, and they said that they were actually going to retract. They were
Can
going
I
to
get the
retract
article, please?
language
I would like to read that for
and
myself.
censor and
I can
censor
get
the
that to you.
nudity. but
Just
then
saying.
they didn't.
I will send you the article format. But yeah, it's just know that I don't think it was a good idea for the you know what though, to be honest, I don't think it was a good idea.
More information is a good thing.
Absolutely. I don't think it's overly overbearing.
Getting that information from he said, she said.
Yeah.
I don't see what the value is in that.
And I think what's going to happen is that once again, this is going to be an issue where because of this, it's going to be more popular. And guess what? More people are going to read it. So I think that's if there's any silver lining.
It did the absolute reverse of what the intention was.
100%.
Taking it away from people from reading it made more and more people read it. There's probably more people reading it now than ever would have read in that school.
100%. Remember, this is the same thing
like over stuff.
Yeah, remember? I mean, they were doing this to Dr. Seuss last year. About 50 years ago, they wanted to ban Catcher in the Rye.
There might even be schools adding it to their curriculum because of this.
100%,
for sure.
100%. And I think they should. And I think it's a creative.
Well, Catcher in the Rye is not a good example because they were banning that because they thought it caused violence.
Correct. And I think but it doesn't matter if it causes. It doesn't matter because it's just words. So it's words on a page, and therefore you should be able to have access to it.
Cookbook.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, Greg, in all fairness, Catcher in the Rye is. You don't gain anything from Catcher in the Rye other than just good writing.
If you read the Catcher in the Rye, it's easy to see that there's no connection. But at the point, the book was being found with a lot of prominent people who've committed very prominent acts of violence multiple times. And that, that kind of bears looking at an analysis. That makes more sense than, than this situation.
I think banning books, period, is not a good idea. And I think a school board. Board.
Well, to your other point, this, like you said, this wasn't a banning. This is a school board, picking what's in and out of the curriculum. Right. So what I'm saying is, in the example of Catcher in the Rye, analysis and maybe, deciding, looking at it more rigorously, that makes sense.
Sure. Right.
This doesn't make sense at all.
And to that point, Alika, I actually agree with you because then again, I know the content and I've read it, and I agree with you 100%. And I think that is, I think it's important to be learned. I think that Mouse is a great entry point to it because it's not just, it's informative. It's a good gateway to talking about this without it being too overbearing or too, how do I put it? Just all encompassing, because once you learn about that, it can be rough. So I think that's what it is.
I heard they're still reading Watchmen for a factual retelling of the Vietnam War.
Kathy in the chat says, yes, why can't children not learn about our cultural struggles and hard ancestor history? It's a school choice of what they only want them to know or read. I agree. I agree. Now that is 100% right. I think it's once again, you can read words on a page, but Mouse, in my opinion, Mouse makes that, and this sounds weird. This is going to sound weird to you guys, but I think Mouse makes that story more relevant and makes it come alive for people in a way that just a history book wouldn't. I mean, am I wrong about that? But that's how I felt.
Even more to the point, it's coming from someone that was there.
Right. 100%.
Well, 100%. And like the other books that are there, like Night and Diary of Anne Frank, this is a graphic novel, and the younger mind, some people would process it better, as sequential art and seeing things. It's some of those things are so horrific and they're hard to visualize, and who knows how complete.
What they should do instead is just turn it into a Disney Plus show.
When I was young, the Elie Wiesel used to actually tour the schools. I don't know if he ever came out to Hawaii, but that was like an assembly. Elie Wiesel, the author of Night, which and he came and would tell the stories from the book, which was I mean
that's incredible.
I don't. Did anybody else go to high school in the mainland and get that? Like,
I went to
private,
but I didn't get that.
Ellie never came to our school for sure.
I don't know
but
how widespread that tour. He was a pretty old gentleman when it was going on. So
I remember reading that book in school, though.
Yeah, the book is required reading.
Oh
with
yeah,
Anne Frank and all that.
Oh yeah, freaking great. But anyway, we here at the NERDWatch do not approve of them taking the book out of the curriculum. We think it's a perfect way to introduce 8th graders to the hardships of World War II, the Holocaust, and the struggle.
I think it's cool because the comic stores in Tennessee, they did this, the fundraiser initiative, and they overshot their goal by, however many times over, like 4 to probably 10 times by now. So everybody's getting a free copy of that book, and they even have they're even because it's such a controversial thing because of the news. They're also including with these free copies like guides for parents who haven't necessarily read it or have the time to read it. Like they give the guide to the parents on maybe how to talk or discuss it with the children and stuff.
The stupid thing is the McMinn County School Board made it controversial when it wasn't. So that's how I think about it. That's how I feel about it. And I put it up earlier, but Joel was saying that they tried to ban music in the 80s, but instead they put on those warning labels. Like they did. That
was the 90s, man. That wasn't the 80s.
That was. And I think that it becomes an issue where when you do things like that, when you put content warnings on things, you make them more popular. And and
the exact kids, like, just to go to that point on the 90s music censorship or whatever. Like, yeah, exactly. The kind of the age range of the kids they were trying to stop from listening to that music were exactly the age range of kids who were immediately drawn to that music as soon as that parental advisory went on the label.
100%. And I think that this you are now drawing people to that book. And to be honest,
I wish it was around when I was in school.
Well, let me tell you something. It's it was something that was never part of when I went to school I went to school in the mainland and in Hawaii. Mouse was never part of the curriculum. I had to read that by myself.
I don't think graphic novels really were getting the respect anyways. I don't obviously it wasn't because of the content. I think it just because they weren't considering putting graphic novels as part of the curriculum. I think that's like a recent development, maybe as soon as like a decade or so ago.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have Mouse either on our curriculum, but we had the prose books.
Right. And that's all we had too, were the prose books. But then again, to be fair, when we were going to high school, or at least when I was, that book was just coming out. So
it came out in 81, right?
No, 91.
Mouse?
Yeah.
Todd?
No, it came out in 1980.
Sure, wasn't it?
It started getting serialized in the late 70s in Raw magazine, which was an independent publication out of.
Well, according to this, it says the book completed in 1991.
Yeah, but they released it in 2 parts, and so the second part came out in the late 80s, and then
when was the first Mouse book released?
Yeah.
Todd,
so if you've read it, there's 2 volumes.
Yeah. Right. When was the first one released?
I think it was the early 80s. There were 1980.
That's what I had thought. Yeah, I thought the first volume of Mouse.
So then what they're talking about is it being completed as a whole by 1991.
Yeah, the whole volume, Mouse 1 and 2, that was probably by 91.
Yeah,
like you said.
Got it. Well, I mean, look.
But even before the first book, we're all used to seeing Mouse in a book form. It was coming out as serialized, like just pages in Raw magazine.
If we're honest, I mean, nowadays, I mean, everybody's you can't even have the cover of Mouse out for a lot of people because they're triggered by the swastika, which is on the front.
You can. That's only in Russia, man.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? They're taking. There's a World War II game.
Well, hold on,
that
Greg.
just came out, and they took out. Swastikas
got
because
incredulous. You just made an incredulous voice at the fact that people are getting triggered by seeing a swastika. Just think about what you just said.
I know what I'm saying is,
I
though,
think it's
is that
perfectly fine for people to get triggered by seeing a swastika. That's
right,
not
but
an unreasonable thing.
but I mean, when you give it more power when you try to take those things out of it. Catch what? That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, there's a reason it triggers people, Greg.
No, I know.
It was the swastika on the cover got it outlawed in Russia.
It did get it outlawed in Russia. What I'm saying is, though, even in our current time, it seems to be triggering people because they actually took it out. One perfect example, they've actually taken it out of World War II video games. Like, for what reason? It's during World War II. You're fighting the Nazis, but we can't say it's the Nazis.
I mean, that's a totally different topic because
I know it is kind of
some people would think it's video games is one way to interact, and I'm
right.
Sure
some people would think that we're glorifying it. I get that.
Trivializing it.
Video games is also not necessarily thought of as an educational thing. It's like immersive entertainment, and so some people might think that it cheapens.
Which is actually
you can see that.
Sad. Which is actually kind of sad though, because I think video games can be a great teaching tool, even if it's a first.
Do you think Call of Duty, where they're fighting Nazis, is a teaching tool?
I don't deny that video games can be a teaching tool, but on this massive scale and with that kind of profits, it's more difficult to credibly argue that.
It depends on what you're trying to teach, really.
Yeah.
And to that point, I mean, the same could be said about graphic novels. Like graphic novels being part of the curriculum is a recent thing.
It's true. Yeah. I like I said, I don't know how recent because we never had it as kids, so I don't know. But I don't know how recent. I don't know how recent it is or the phenomenon.
Well, according to you, 91 at least. So
yeah. Well, it was completed in 91. I think he won. I don't know, Todd. Maybe he won the Pulitzer for it the year after that. I think 92 or 93. Do you think, or was it?
And after he won the Pulitzer for it, they outlawed comic books from Pulitzer contention. Like no comic book or graphic novel can be nominated to win a Pulitzer Prize.
That sucks.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it's precisely because of the. I mean, there's this whole discourse around it, and it doesn't glorify anything that happens in the book by any means, but it, they don't. It seems to trivialize it to some people when when you discuss it in the context of a visual metaphor,
and that's the thing is so when I made that point about the video game, and then Phormat had mentioned that some people may see the graphic novel that way. That's absolutely valid. To have yourself drawn as a mouse during this traumatic event might, some people might not be okay with that. Some people might not see, the sense in doing something like that.
So even though we don't agree with the ban from the school board, we do think that it is possible that they are trivializing. They think they may be trivializing.
I don't know.
I don't think that's true.
I say I can see where somebody who would have lived through that would believe that a graphic novelization or a video game playthrough of their traumatic event, like even a book, as and even if it's a factual total, some people don't want to live through it again. It's a whole spectrum of preference. Sure. You can't gauge one individual person's preference or what something will make them feel. It doesn't even have to be on the range of rational feelings. Feelings are feelings, man. So to even try to guess at what the feeling is you're not going to be able to.
Good point. Well,
I also think that the people who don't understand the art, the visual component of the story, are the ones that are ready to criticize it. And I think that there's also some anti-Semitism behind that.
Listen, once again, it's possible. I mean, for sure. But once again, here at the NERDWatch, we try and solve problems. Yeah. And solving problems is not.
It's just difficult not to take any kind of light critique or affront to the book as somewhat fueled by anti-Semitism, just because of what the book is.
Sure, I know, and listen, I can understand that. That I understand. So,
And that's why it's such a shame for those kids, because it puts the stigma on that school system. Oh,
right.
You came from that school system, you must be real backwards.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Bingo. So I encourage you kids. I encourage if you have parents, encourage your parents to pick up a copy of it.
I've tried
to
get
together.
copies in right at as soon as the news broke. I think everybody wanted to get more copies in. Maybe check Barnes and Nobles, but everywhere I looked at where I could order from, they didn't have it available right now. So
it is a great book. You should read it with your kids. I mean, listen, I think 8th and 9th grade is a perfect time for Mouse. Sit down, read it yourself, and then read it with your kids. I think
Read it with your pants off.
No, idiot. Check out Mouse. It's a very, very good book. Kathy says I had to read Dante's Inferno, which I did as well.
Jesus.
I had to do that in college. That's crazy.
I read that
anyway.
in 5th grade.
Inferno.
Solving the world's problem, one problem at a time, here every night or every Monday night on the NERDWatch.
The hardest book that I read in high school was Plato's Republic. You
know what's funny is that in college we only got like maybe halfway through that Plato's Republic, because that's definitely a hard book. I agree.
It's just there's no punctuation.
Reading it in a class was hard for me. Reading it on my own was I felt like I understood it a lot more.
I loved reading books in college, in class.
I don't like reading books in classes.
I like the interaction. I like to talk to people. I like to see
what I think. Talk to people, but everybody's usually just telling me I'm wrong.
I got to
it's like there's zero freedom sometimes for interpretation. You just get frustrated. You're like, okay, I guess I'm wrong. Even though I read the whole freaking thing and can articulate my point pretty well. Because it doesn't agree with yours, I'm wrong. Okay.
Wow.
And that's what it feels like a lot of the time.
I got to reread Mouse in college for a class for expository writing in English 220, and it was one of the books that kind of was people sort of universally loved. People really enjoyed the artwork. They really were emotionally invested in the story, and I think that it's a real disservice to these 8th graders that can't that aren't going to get to read it in class. I think it's safe
to say that every single one of those 8th graders are going to get to read the book, no matter.
They will.
Yeah, I know, but there's also, a teacher can stand in front of you and give you an easier path to interpreting the book. We just talked about how the visual metaphor of the mice and the cats, and then the Americans are dogs, and then the French are frogs, and so some of that might go over people's heads a little bit unless there's people to point it out.
I think a lot of printings of Mouse though have that companion, to help decipher it for children. The thing is I think I have the opposite response, because I found there's so much stuff I read in a classroom setting and I've never had comics in an educational setting. That was something I never had, but just books in general, I would go back and reread them outside of the educational setting and get so much more out of them. I think that's the point of literacy, is to let people be free to learn on their own and decide for their own. I think that's the most effective learning sometimes. Sure. Some people just learn better that way. I think the second you put restrictions on, I don't know. It's difficult for me to articulate, but you need to be free to make your own.
I agree. You should definitely read it.
You don't need a guide to interact with, things like that.
Yeah. Just know that Mouse is less offensive than Schindler's List. Let's put it that way. As far as content,
that's also kind of crazy, because we did watch Schindler's List in the 8th grade. I did see that in the 8th grade.
Yeah, I watched it in middle school too.
That's what I'm saying. So it's even less offensive than Schindler's List, and Schindler's List is
it's true. You actually see human junk in that one.
It's true. It's crazy. Anyway, moving on.
Keep forgetting you guys are babies. I'm like,
I
was in school.
I never watched it in school. I watched it outside of school. Moving on to some lighter fare. As we all know, Peter Dinklage made the news for calling out Disney for trying to make a Seven Dwarfs movie and actually using dwarfs. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Yeah, Peter Dinklage.
We've come a long way, dude. We've come a long way. If this had happened like in the 80s, the whole entire cast of the Time Bandits would have been like, "What? Hell yeah, we're in."
But that's what I'm saying is like, you would think that he'd be stoked for all these, little people getting work.
Yes.
But his point, he's got a good point.
Yeah. What's interesting about this is that they got a new Snow White. She's a Latina, which is what.
Yeah,
fine.
but he didn't mention her anywhere.
That's
in his
the first thing I think of when I thought
was funny was
he did mention her.
He did mention her. Yeah, he did. He mentioned her.
What did he say?
He basically said 1 step forward, 3 steps back. Something along those lines.
Okay, so she's the step forward, right? So
right. What I don't understand is that how, I guess in the respect of I love Disney's response after Peter Dinklage said what he said, because Disney said, you know what? We've heard what Peter Dinklage said, and we're going to be consulting with the dwarfism community.
No, that's not what Disney said. Disney said
that's not what they said. They said we can't hear you all the way down there.
What the fuck? You're such an ass.
That was Bob Iger. But they said they had consulted with the dwarf community already or something. And I don't think they used the word dwarf. Did they? Did they say the word
little
dwarf?
people?
Wow, there's already the opposite end of the flacca, because there's I can't remember the actor's name, but there was a guy that came out there and said, like, who made him king of the dwarves?
Well, and let me continue this story, because despite Peter Dinklage's recent attempt to position himself as a progressive champion by railing against the continued depiction of Snow White's 7 dwarf companions as dwarfs, a number of other dwarf performers, including former WWE star Dylan Hornswoggle Postal, believes the Hollywood actor's commitment to being woke could threaten their livelihoods and ruin opportunities for others like them. And there's another actor by the name of a British actor named Chun Tan, who has starred as a number of Snow White's companions in various productions across England, told the Daily Mail that he felt Dinklage's comments were hypocritical, as a lot of my colleagues and myself rely on that work to get by, and it's just embracing your uniqueness, because when I play the part, they utilize my bodybuilding and other people's skills. So, there are other people that don't the other little people that don't agree with Dinklage's take.
It's that thing of where, like Alika said, he's not wrong. He's entitled to how he feels by all means. But then there's the other side of it, is like, does he really get to speak for everybody? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And plus, like, it would have been better for him to have consulted with the project, whether he's going to be in it or not. So that way, they're represented in a positive light if that was his primary concern. Because there is a way to do that story where it's not demeaning, like he seems to be concerned with. But I know, but all of these things are really easy to say when it's someone that doesn't have to deal with what he goes through every day.
How far along is it done filming, or
not
they didn't even start.
They haven't started yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have a question. If we were fan casting the 7 dwarfs as they were in this new movie, in the hierarchy, where would Peter Dinklage be? Who would he be, and would he be King Dwarf?
Obviously, he would be grumpy.
Are you really asking who we think Peter Dinklage should be in a movie that he doesn't even want made with dwarves, let alone himself?
Yes.
Yes.
That's somehow the worst thing you've ever done, Greg.
Gimli.
I think, first of all, if I can send a shout out to Peter Dinklage because a movie of his
You
is
shouldn't
coming
shout
out.
him out in the middle of a podcast where you're just like ripping
I know.
off.
Shut up.
Like that's not a.
I will say
You're
that I
literally shoving him in the movie he wants nothing to do with, and you're just like, by the way, Peter Dinklage, you're awesome.
I think Todd's right though. He would be grumpy. I think he would. I think he'd be great grumpy. I do, but here's the other thing.
Did you ever listen to his punk rock band?
Oh, and Peter Dinklage is no.
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah,
Man, Peter Dinklage hasn't been good since Elf.
What do you call me?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Was
and
he in that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guess what he played?
I wonder.
If you say Elf one more time.
That.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, remember that's him. What's interesting though is that I think that guys that rely on this, because Peter Dinklage he's carved out his own piece of Hollywood, right? I mean, next month a great movie with him is coming out called Cyrano. It's a retelling of Cyrano de Bergerac, and it is fantastic. Everybody should watch that film, and he's great in it. But I mean,
I think that might be part of the where all this is coming from.
Yeah, and that's
Because
what I was just about to say.
Thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the character is supposed to have a
big nose, right?
And instead,
right,
the quote unquote handicap is that he's short instead.
And she's really short.
Yeah,
right.
He's the size of a nose.
Well, in some respect, and that's. But you see,
but I think that's where some of this is coming from. Like instead of having dwarves, why don't we, cast,
well,
I don't know, Latinos or
the rumor is that they're going to be using like talking animals or like creatures.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I don't know. It's
so
weird.
Like cats.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's weird. But suffice it to say, I don't think Peter Dinklage should be
talking animals like cats or talking animals like the Lion King.
No, they're
talking animals like mouse.
Woodland creatures.
They don't talk.
I say instead of dwarves.
What's that?
I say instead of dwarves, they just do Snow White, and then instead of 7 dwarves, it's just 7 CGI Kevin Harts.
Oh,
wow!
That could work. This could be his what's that thing with the crumps? Yeah.
Like he's kind of a small guy anyway. Maybe they don't even have to make him look small.
I think what's
just
interesting.
Do that forced perspective thing they did on Lord of the Rings.
It's true. How about this? What if instead of dwarfs, they cast
Chinese people?
They cast very tall people. They cast basketball players, 6'6" and above,
like Yao Ming and
that
stuff.
Works.
Yeah, like Yao Ming. Or
I mean, that works until the Monstars come and take their powers.
Snow White and the complete opposite of dwarves.
Yeah, the complete opposite of.
She's already the complete opposite of Snow White.
She is. She kind of is.
Well, she's half Polish, so
yeah. So,
but Snow White was her name, not what color she was.
Well, regardless of whether she's of South American descent or of Polish descent, the people of McMinn County probably hate her.
You're such a jerk. You're such a jerk.
When it comes to that, they can take the books off the shelf.
We should check in and see if they canceled the Disney Plus show in Pickman County.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, Peter Dinklage, I think he's wrong. I think that give other. I think
after praising the guy,
I think he's wrong because he's not giving opportunities to his other fellow small people.
But if you'd like to be a guest on our show,
please come on the show.
I think he's right, man. I mean, he wants more dignity. He doesn't every role that he has had to take in his life is has to do with what he looks like, his height, his, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's already proved himself. He's already proved himself.
Now everybody knows he's a great actor, and it's not the first thing they see when they look at him. And that was a hard fought battle. He's right to say, I want everybody who's like me to have that opportunity. I want there to be more roles like I get because they can see we can act.
So you shut down opportunities to make new opportunities?
better opportunities. It's like not everybody wants to be, one of the lollipop gang or whatever. You know what I mean?
First
they don't
of
want
all,
to play Ewoks the rest of their freaking life.
none of you have seen that.
Okay, now I'm confused.
It's not. None of you have seen that.
Does Dinklage want dwarves in this, or does he not?
That's what he's saying. He's saying that
he doesn't. He doesn't want them.
He doesn't, because he's saying that.
Well, it's not that he doesn't want them. Like if you read his complaint, it was that the stereotype. It's like I didn't do all this work to have there be 7 dwarves living in a cave or something like
Correct.
that.
He has seven little people living in a cave.
Like, implying the way that they're played in the original 7 Snow White or whatever, that they were like subhumans, and that there's a point there to be made.
I understand that. I guess.
I suppose.
Kathy
doesn't make any
says,
sense to me though.
Wait,
I mean,
just
Bear
make
Grylls
Snow
lives
White?
in a cave half times of the year.
Who does?
Bear Grylls?
Oh, yeah, he does. Good point. He does. Kathy,
I would call Bear Grylls subhuman.
Kathy says, "Wait, just make the Rock Snow White. That would be interesting."
That's for the Kevin Hart one. Kevin Hart was the dwarves, and the Rock would be Snow White. That would work perfect.
Yep.
Speaking of the Rock, gentlemen, the director of the Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot heist action film Red Notice, by the way, a side note, which is getting 2 sequels from Netflix because it did so well on the platform. The director, Rawson Marshall Thurber, is set to write and direct the pilot episode of Entertainment One's upcoming live-action Dungeons and Dragons series. He will also creatively oversee the entire series and executive produce it. And it's going to revolve around the man himself, Drizzt, however you want to pronounce it. Do'Urden or
The Rock's in
Do'Urden.
this?
No, he's not in it. It's
why did you bring up The Rock?
Is this a Dungeons and Dragons thing? I'm sorry, I just missed.
It's a live action show. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be a Dungeons and Dragons. Listen, everyone knows the classic with Jeremy Irons and Marlon Wayans. That's a Dungeons and Dragons classic. All right, we're never gonna forget that.
You know what's fun? Watching Dungeons and Dragons, then Lord of the Rings, and then realizing they came out in the same year.
Yeah, that's true.
The cartoon show, the animated series, I love that. The Dungeons and Dragons, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, no. I know what you're talking about.
Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
We
I don't even remember if I put on
leave it
underwear
to you
today.
to bring up all the nostalgic stuff.
Yeah. If there's an 80s Saturday morning cartoon, it's my job to bring it up.
There you go.
There you go. So we're getting a new Dungeons and Dragons live action series, which is kind of cool. Speaking of live actions, we are speaking of live action films, we're 1 month away because, technically, even though it's the 31st, we're going to be in February here in any minute. We're 1 month away from The Batman. And I don't know if we talked about this before, but The Batman is going to be the longest movie, longest comic book movie like ever. Well, it's going to be, I shouldn't say that. It's not longer than Endgame. That's right.
Well, it's
Endgame
also not longer
hours.
than Zack Snyder's Justice League either. So.
Yeah, man.
Well, Zack Snyder's
cut.
Justice League didn't have a theatrical. Well, it did have a theatrical release, like 1 day or something like that.
It doesn't matter. It's a film.
Man.
4 hours. The Batman is going to be 2 hours and 55 minutes, and apparently,
3 hours. What?
2 hours and 55 minutes. It's going to be 2 hours.
Wait, did that include credits? I don't remember.
No, it's 2 hours and 47 without credits. 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Why are movies, especially like these popcorn roller coaster, like see it and get it over with movies? Why are they getting so much longer? Like
Matt Reeves did not.
I'm not saying this movie specifically, but even the comic book movies, like all of them are like 2.5.
Yeah, they're getting longer and longer.
Yeah, why? I thought that would work against them because don't they want to turn over the theater faster? Don't they want like a 2 hour?
Especially during the time of COVID, I think you're right. I think you would want to make 90-minute movies like Venom. Right?
Well, there could be a paradigm shift too, though, because you have less showings, yes, but then you can also extend the duration of how long a movie lasts in a theater if people can't go on opening nights and such, and So it could work both ways, where it extends the theatrical run because not everybody can see it on the day they want to see it.
True.
But
Right,
apparently,
that could be
do
part
any
of
of you
it.
guys, are any of you familiar with the
So they're
is there
betting
some
against
kind
it?
of yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Is there a reason with the industry why they're doing that for these movies that are supposed to be like not necessarily brain engagers? Like, don't they want to? Why wouldn't they do the opposite?
I don't think this is
I have no
I don't
idea.
think this is necessarily industry. What I think it is that these films, a lot of these films, including the Batman, were being made before COVID was a thing. So
But is it really all COVID making these movies longer?
I'm telling you what, man. Because it, once again, and this is the other logic, and this is where Ben Affleck, God forbid I say this, but Ben Affleck and I actually agree. I think movie theaters are going to be for very big monumental movies. And so we're not going to have smaller films in the theaters anymore. Everyone's going to go watch tentpole movies, and The Batman is one of those movies. And to be fair, though, the first cut of the film for The Batman, which they wanted to do in theaters, was 4 hours long. That was the original cut that they said that this is the movie we want.
That was the assembly cut. They knew they were never going to put it out that long.
But they all so I can't wait to see that cut. By the way,
so in like 2 months' time, we're gonna see some stupid cut.
I think
like 5 hours long, guys. The Batman. Oh man,
I think Batman v Superman is longer.
What's that?
The theatrical release for Batman v Superman was longer.
Over 3 hours?
And 3 hours?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. The
no
Batman
way.
Batman v Superman was 2.5. The cut that Zack Snyder put out the extended cut was 3 hours and 1 minute long. I do know that for sure because I own both of them. But here's the thing: is that it also the Batman, if I'm not mistaken, because it's a Warner Brothers film, still falls under that 45-day window. This is going to be one of the movies that after 45 days in the theater, it's moving to streaming.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So if I have my facts correct about that, The Batman is going to be in theaters for 45 days, and then it's moving straight to streaming.
Well, to Alika's point, then like movies like this should be shorter.
No, and I completely agree with
so
him.
they can get that turnover.
Yeah,
it's a little strange to me.
What's that?
It's a little strange to me to listen to all of you guys talking because I'm just like, we're removing the idea of storytelling from this entire equation. It feels like.
Well,
no.
To be fair,
but we are. We're saying like, oh, these things should be shorter. But let's say Matt Reeves wants to tell a 3-hour Batman story, but he has to arbitrarily cut it down to 2 hours and put it in a theater.
I don't think it's not that I don't think that there's a 3-hour story worth telling in there. I'm just saying the storytellers are not the ones paying to have these movies made, and so
you're right, and that's granted.
But the actual financial decisions involved in. Why are the people going to put the money into it? And, the studio has responsibilities and runtime is one of those things that they consider outside of storytelling. Obviously, people argue for longer runtimes to get a better story told. I'm just thinking the trend of overall, this has been happening for years where comic book movies and entertainment movies are getting longer and longer and longer. And you would think that the entertainment movies would get shorter. I would think they would get shorter.
I'm gonna say a phrase that most of you are familiar with and most of you enjoy. I think Gannon is more right than he is wrong. And
well, no. Okay. The point that I'm making though is that yes, on a studio level, you'd want it to be shorter to get people in and out of a theater fast, of course. But if you're putting faith in a filmmaker and you're treating your movie like an event, it feels like more of an event if it's a longer film, if it's a bigger story, and if you give your director and your writer time to actually do that,
right,
as opposed to arbitrarily cutting a film down. Like the Joss Whedon's the Joss Whedon Justice League is a perfect example of this. They chopped it down to 2 hours to make it run shorter in a theater. I'm not arguing. Okay, I'll stop talking. It's all good.
No. I think getting back to you guys' point. What I think we're missing is that I think Gannon's right in the fact that studios have a vested interest in telling good stories, no matter how long they are. Theaters have a different operating issue altogether, in the fact that they want to turn over that theater as many times as possible per day to get the maximum amount of dollars out of that theater per day. So I think that ultimately Gannon is right in the fact that giving Matt Reeves the opportunity to tell his story, even at 3 hours, is optimal for what he wants to do. But it's not necessarily optimal for the theaters.
I'm not, like, the thing is, with a movie like Batman, obviously every Batman movie is going to be a major event. And we've heard so many Batman stories, so the story we're going to hear has to be something new and good and engaging. So I can understand giving that more room. I'm not saying this Batman movie should be shorter. I was just saying the general trend of these entertainment style movies they're getting longer. And I don't think every one of them has these really deep, in-depth quality stories to tell. Like, sometimes you're in a Marvel movie for 2.5 hours and you're like, did it have to be this long? You know?
The Eternals. Yeah, I agree.
That's not the one I was thinking of.
That's the one I was thinking of.
That's the one you were thinking of. I would just think where they could, they'd make them shorter, but it seems like as a trend, they're all getting longer.
What my issue is that the trend is, I think in the near future, there's going to be a come to Jesus meeting with everybody, because there has to be, because of the way. And listen, I hate.
Well, I don't think the movies being longer a problem for anybody except me either. Because
no.
What I'm saying is, long movies, that's fine. I just thought that they would be
no. But there has to be a meeting sometime down the line between theater owners and movie and Hollywood studios, because no matter how we try and kind of graze off of try to get away from the issue, COVID, I think, is still a huge thing. And I think that they're going to have to ultimately rethink how they're going to reinvest in movie theaters. And to be fair, and you guys could speak on this too, why would they go shorter when people came out to watch Spider-Man No Way Home, and that movie was 2.5 hours long? That was the longest Spider-Man film ever. And everybody and their mother came to see that movie, and they're still going to see it. And it's making money hand over fist. So I think obviously if the content is right, people are going to go see it no matter how long it is. And I think that Gannon
there's a definite shift in the way things are viewed or accepted or whatever.
Bingo. Yeah.
When I was talking about the longer run times, I was referring to like the movies themselves, not the director's the creativity.
Correct. I got you.
In this, because I would have faith if I were a producing company and my faith was in the director. I would have faith that they'd be able to pull off what they would need to pull off in 2 hours. Why does it need to be 4 hours? Why does it need to be a 3.5 hour epic? Why can't they get it done?
That's a good. Now that's a valid point in the fact that I think the last.
Well, for the same reason, Archive 81 couldn't be done in one movie. I would think
it's true, but
even though it could have been.
I hate to bring this up, but because it's not very nerdy, but
any story can be truncated to 2 hours. But if you want to give it breathing room and you really
want to trust that your director is good enough to be concise and get everything out within that 2 hours.
And now,
but isn't that assuming that it needs to be done for 2 hours, or that he has a story
assuming that it doesn't?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not assuming anything. He had a 4 hour movie and cut it down to 2 hours and 55 minutes. So I would like to think that, he has a reason for that beyond just having a big to be big.
Well, I know it's not fair to bring you into this because you're very big on the director's original vision and all that. I just don't see why, like the Snyder Cut. It didn't need to be 4 hours.
Oh,
I
It didn't need to be.
would be the first one to say that there's a lot of Zack Snyder's Justice League that is self-indulgent, but he gets that way because of the fanboy
Because
fervor
they
for
give
that.
it to him.
This is a little bit of a different scenario when it comes to Matt Reeves because he's in uncharted waters, even though it's with an IP that everybody knows. He's making a movie that's not connected to anything else, and he had his own sense of vision for what he wanted to do here.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you're right. I will always support the initial intention of a director.
Hey,
always.
Listen, Kathy in chat says something very interesting. She says, I feel most movies now spend so much time in character introducing even if you already know the characters, which is very true because, and actually what's interesting is that Matt Reeves already came out and said to the point that this is not a Batman origin story. He said that, as a matter of fact, we're not going to know the origins of the Batman. You're not going to see him lose his parents. You're not going to see any of that stuff.
I'm walking out as soon as I see Pearls.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm walking out. As soon as I see Pearls, I'm like, nope.
He promised it's not happening. So
yeah, he said it's not happening. Todd Bernardi, you wanted to say something? Oh,
wait, loophole here. What if Phormat, he opens a box of his parents' belongings, and in that box are some loose pearls? Are you okay there still?
But if they open the box and they can resist not doing a flashback, I would be impressed.
If I
think Phormat should stay if that happens.
If I see a gloved gangster pull at a string of pearls on some lady's neck, I am out.
They promised us that wasn't happening. So
all right, fair enough. Todd Bernardi, you wanted to say something, sir, before you got
I'll sit there with you during the
whole thing. I don't think that the popcorn movie is sort of transformed into a contemporary epic. I mean, we don't have Dr. Zhivago anymore. We don't have, what I mean? Like,
got you.
We don't have a Titanic, even though that was in pretty recent memory. But those Titanic, like movies like Titanic, those were event films.
Yeah,
I mean, and that was around 3 hours, and they still like gave people an intermission. So not only was it long, but then like they gave you a bathroom break in the middle of the way through for like 15 minutes.
Oh,
so
maybe that's what we're missing.
A long thing longer. So historically, there have always been long films that have come out. They're just not. They're just now people are starting to make their popcorn movies weightier, Shakespearean epics. We're not going to get a 4-hour Hamlet again. We're not going to get Henry V. They already made those movies. They were fantastic movies. But
lots of kidney infections from Kathy. That totally makes sense.
Yeah. And so those movies were made, those movies were theatrically released, and they were released to theaters with the audience, with a certain audience in mind. So they were marketed to those people, and those people have now become superhero people. That audience is sort of shifted away from those types of movies like The Last Duel. And they're, these historical epics or these, you know what I mean? Like they're like.
I see where Todd's coming from.
Yeah, so
superhero movies need bathroom breaks.
They're shifting into these longer movies, and it's because there's it's fertile territory. The Marvel movies Endgame had to be that long because how could you have the climax of a 22 film epic not be
10 years, right?
Not be like 3 hours or over 3 hours.
So then I have a question.
I think that to Alika's point, people are just not making popcorn movies anymore. You don't see like Van Damme action movies anymore.
It's true.
You know what I mean? You're not
going to, but they're in like the indie bin,
and they're like straight to DVD or straight to streaming.
Yeah. If it's
you don't see them in the theater anymore.
if it's going to have
Yeah, I
action,
get it.
it's got to have the special effects. If it's going to have special effects, then it's going to have a giant budget. And if it's going to have a giant budget, it's got to have people come to the theater and sit there and enjoy their experience. So I mean, I think that the kids that grew up on Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and Marvel movies have become adults, and they're looking for a similar theatrical experience.
The fact that you brought up those movies kind of actually makes it click a little more, because they were kind of priming us for it. I fell asleep in the first Harry Potter. I didn't go to see a single one after that, and this was in my 20s. I don't even sleep in movies. I'm not like G Money or anything.
I used to sleep in movies because I had sleep apnea and I didn't have a machine. So suck it. Now I do. I sit through all. You know, the one I fell asleep to a lot. The ones I fell asleep to were all the Lord of the Rings movies.
That one, I'm surprised I didn't sleep in those. Those were hard to get through.
There's another thing that shouldn't be dismissed is that, depending on how the film is edited and the way it's paced, you might not even feel that time.
True.
You know what I mean? There's movies that are like shorter than 3 hours that feel like it takes forever. And then there's other movies that are 2.5 hours that just go by really quickly. So depending on the way the movie is made and paced, you might not even notice it's 3 hours.
To that point, I think that's where that whole faith in the director comes into play. Like, you know what I mean? To get it done and cut right. Yeah.
I feel the fact that it's that long, even though it's a weird fact to hang on, it kind of makes me have a little bit of faith in what they're doing with this one, only because, like, to let him do a movie that long, tells you that, like, okay, there's a reason why he needs it to be that long, and maybe it's going to end up being pretentious that it's that long, but we don't know yet. But Warner Brothers does well when they give their directors room to do what they want to do. Like the movies where they just don't meddle with it too much, those turn out okay. When they let Christopher Nolan do exactly what he wanted to do, those did well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
So when they don't meddle with these things, they work out.
You mean they messed with Zack Snyder's movie and then everybody hated it? That's weird.
Such an idiot.
Well, because we won't know what David Ayer's Suicide Squad would have been, and there is a chance it might have been better, maybe even just by a little bit. We don't know, but it would sure be nice to see. But yeah, if you're going to hire these guys to do these movies based on what they propose to do, and then you go in there and say, okay, no, now it has to be only 2 hours long, even though you wrote a 3 hour long movie. Mm-hmm. That it's going to rob the movie of what the intention was. Even if it's something subtle that you wouldn't necessarily notice, even if it's just dramatic character building stuff that's kind of important.
Kathy has refined Gannon's earlier point. She says, I mean, I binge watch stupid stuff, and most people do for 8 hours or so. Why not 3 hours of a great cut of a movie? I can see that.
I had fun watching I don't think I could have watched Zack Snyder's Justice League without being there with you guys, though. Like, being able to riff track it and talk shit while it was going on was a huge the shorter the movie, the better. Like, my favorite movies are like those quick 1.5 hour, like, there's very few movies I can actually rewatch. Like, that list is so short. It's like, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, Idiocracy, Speed Racer.
Are you really saddling those movies up against?
I got it. I got it.
Speed Racer's over 2 hours.
Is it?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours and 25
minutes.
Something
like that. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that movie feels like it goes by very fast for me. I don't know.
Well, he's going at a very high speed.
I'm not saying the rewatchability makes them better than other movies. I'm just saying, like, I'm the kind of person, no matter how good a movie is, I can really only watch it once, which is why I'm so bad with movies. I don't remember nothing about them. I watch them once and I'm never again for some reason.
Just like that Nightmare on Elm Street movie we were talking about.
Literally that memory is from when I'm like 7, so I have no idea. Like,
have you never watched the original Nightmare on Elm Street?
When I was very little, yeah.
You need to watch that movie again.
And not the whole movie.
You're paying attention to the chat, Greg.
I'm not a horror kid. I'm very scared of that kind of stuff. So if I watch it, it's because I'm at a sleepover and the other kids are watching it and I'm trying to watch it with them. Like I didn't watch each movie all the way through as they were coming out. No, not at all. It was like all by accident.
Alika was a pansy.
And
I am a pansy. I didn't like horror as a kid.
So, question at Alika sleepovers: do you guys do your guys' hair and nails, and do you gossip and then watch Nightmare on Elm Street, or how does that work?
You know what? The only kind of horror movies I would watch are the ones that are so bad you know they're not scary. Like they're kind of like goofball B-movie horror movies.
No, not those. Anyway,
Like
Jamie in the
Dudes
chat
House.
says, yeah, but he says, but if I was showing a friend Lord of the Rings, he says, for the first time, it would be non-extended. Interesting. Okay, all right.
Wait. The movie would be non-extended, or he wouldn't be
Shut up,
non-extended?
Gannon. You're such an idiot. You're such an idiot.
I don't know though. That extended cut had some good stuff. So.
All of those Jackson extended cuts are way better than the
Well,
theatrical cuts.
I had watched those movies came out right after I was fresh off of reading the books.
Yeah.
And so I was like frustrated at all the things they left out of the movies on this. I guess that's why I was able to sit through such long movies.
Yeah.
And
Like,
by the way, those movies were still really long with all that stuff cut out of it.
Yes,
Yeah, they were. That's the other thing.
All
is,
three
like,
of them
going
were
back-
almost 3 hours long.
If I went back and tried to watch those movies without now having the books fresh in my mind, I wouldn't even be able to handle it. I couldn't. do
Yeah,
it.
it's insane. So here's the thing, and maybe Todd can. Todd, do you draw intermissions at the end of all your issues of Kukui Project to give people a bathroom break?
No, but that's a good idea. I'm gonna put an intermission in the middle of issue 12.
I wish there were intermissions when Todd talked.
There's a. I mean, that doesn't make sense though, because comics are great for bathroom. You can read them on the toilet.
Oh, that's
You know?
true. That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's the tagline for Kukui Project.
It's
Kukui
great
Project. It's great with your pants off.
That's awesome.
No.
No.
It's better with your pants off.
It's better with your pants off. That's the name of the podcast. Bingo.
It's good. It's good with your pants on. It's better with your pants off.
Kathy says,
There you
"Whip
go.
your pants down." That makes sense. Now, the name of the show is It's Better with Your Pants Off. I'm gonna defend Phormat for a second before we move off this topic really quick. I
Because
think
we're all
Good,
coming
because
for him.
I was gonna.
Yeah.
attack
Oh
him.
man.
Is he in danger?
no.
No.
I think.
Everybody's gunning.
I don't
for me.
think you're the guy to defend anybody, G.
Well, I'm gonna
I
defend
mean,
him.
if you were gonna ask, you couldn't ask for a better human shield.
It's true. It's a
mean-
good point. Good point.
Fair enough.
I take all slings and arrows.
I bet.
No,
I
you
bet,
could.
I bet we could all hide behind Greg.
Oh, that slings and arrows line sounded like some kind of incel talk. By the way.
What I was going to defend Phormat on is that his comment about making movies more succinct. And I will say that he's right about that in the fact that, and this is going to sound pretentious, you'll probably roll your eyes, Phormat and I are movie
Oh
critics.
God!
And
Phormat
so
in the eye.
no, so what I've said this before and I'll say it again is that
You forgot to put in your monocle.
yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is that we watch more movies than most normal people do in a year. Okay, so we see a lot of tropes in movies. We see a lot of redundancy in movies. So when Phormat says these movies should be shorter and more succinct, I think he has a point as a film critic to say that because, and I agree with him in the fact that we see movies and tropes. We see more tropes in movies than most casual viewers do. So he's saying to tighten up your
Casual viewers
script.
would be the rest of us.
Correct. So he'd say tighten up your script, make it more succinct because it becomes more enjoyable for the viewer while he's sitting there watching it. Technically, a 2-hour movie is much better than a 2.5-hour movie in some respects. Not all respects, but I understand.
Essentially.
I understand the logic. So
with all due respect to both of you, though,
yeah.
we can also mutually agree that not all critics agree with each other, too, right?
Bingo. That is also true as well. I agree with that 100%.
It's your opinion versus another person's opinion.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I'm right though.
Yeah, so am I. My opinion is right.
Well,
I'm
I think
joking.
I'm right. Now what are we gonna do?
You gotta watch a lot more movies.
Oh my God,
as right as you.
guys, you're all pretty. Jeez.
Wait, let me get us all back together on the same page. I think we can all agree that Ghostbusters Afterlife was fantastic.
How dare you?
No, you know what, Greg? You know what would have made Ghostbusters Afterlife better if it was 2 hours and 55 minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
I agree.
Oh man.
If they spent an entire hour on Egon being back.
Yeah. Oh man.
An entire hour of that. It just turns into like Ghostbusters Endgame, where the girls show up and then the cartoon guys not anthropomorphized, but they just somehow show up Roger Rabbit style in the movie. And yeah, that's what they should have done there.
Wow.
I think we should have seen the end of that chess game.
They should have gotten Chadwick Boseman to play Gozer, and they could have reanimated his corpse.
Oh God, you're such a horrible person.
That would have been.
Did you not think Olivia Wilde did a great job?
I think she did okay, but I mean, I wanted to see them desecrate the memory of somebody else too.
Oh, yeah. Olivia Wilde's alive. What the frick are you talking about?
I'm talking about Egon.
Oh, Egon. Sorry, I was like, what the hell? Are you talking about?
No, but I mean, the point that I was going to make was the Social Network. You know, they came in with that script. They wrote that. They read it. They knew that it was going to be 2 hours and 54 minutes. And they called the director and they said it's a long script. It's going to be 2 hours and 54 minutes. We just read it to each other, and he's like, it's fine. It's going to be 2 hours and 54 minutes or whatever it was.
Right.
And then that script. Then he went on to win the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. So I mean, sometimes movies have to be what they're going to be in order to.
That movie does not feel that long either, by the way.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't.
I'm sure it is, but it doesn't feel that long at all.
I agree with you guys on that.
And I think
it's very well paced.
Attributed to the director and the editing.
Right, and
which is what I'm saying. All directors should be able to edit down their stuff to be succinct.
And I think that that's one job in Hollywood that does not get enough attention.
But we just talked about a movie that's almost 3 hours long. I'm missing the point now, I guess.
No. What he's saying is that if good editors have a tendency, I think, in my opinion, I agree, because I think that editors are underappreciated in Hollywood.
Okay, but when you guys say succinct, do you guys mean as short as humanly possible to tell the story, or do you mean succinct in like exactly what's needed to make the story work?
Do we really need a sex scene?
That's a good point. Well, that's what
I'm saying. A lot of these movies are padded with like nonsense stuff.
Right.
Do we really need to see a sex scene?
Yeah.
Well, I need an example for context reasons, but I mean, yeah, if it's just cheaply thrown in there for no good reason.
I'll answer that question generally. I will say that I am sick of seeing sex scenes in movies. It's like every sex scene should just be like fade to black, and then like in white text on the screen, they fucked, and then like move on with the movie.
You know, like, I don't know, guys, because there's a really good reason why there's a sex scene in Antichrist.
Oh gosh, shut your mouth. That's with Willem Dafoe. That movie. Oh my, that freaking movie. You
see full-on penetration shots and everything. I feel like that's extremely necessary for that movie.
No. Antichrist is.
I was thinking more of the orgy scene from Matrix.
Alika, I swear to God, if I told you what happened in Antichrist, Alika, you think I was making it up as I went along.
Yeah,
there's a lot of movies that I haven't seen that sound crazy when you guys describe.
No. It would literally sound like I was making it up for you, like straight out of my own brain, because I watched that movie thinking like I was making it in my mind somehow.
I feel like I've heard about Antichrist before with Willem Dafoe.
I brought it up on the pod before.
Yeah.
And let me say this: if there's one thing that I think that you're right, I think that the sex in movies is something that I can do without, and it's not the late 80s or early 90s anymore.
Weird, man. I've never seen a movie where a sex scene has improved anything. Not a movie, not a TV show. Like all the Netflix Marvel stuff they bang like for the 2 whole episodes.
That's it's like a majority of
Wait. What are you watching where they're banging for 2 whole episodes?
Jessica Jones and
Jessica Jones.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
Entire episodes?
I mean, it felt like like they really beat the crap out of each other for like a lot of the episodes.
All right.
I forget
right,
which series it was, either Luke Cage or Jessica Jones where it happened.
To be fair
Jones.
to be fair to everyone's point here, what's the last film that you would consider an erotic thriller that had a ton of sex in it that was actually something worth seeing?
Basic Instinct.
Debbie Does Dallas.
Body of Evidence with Madonna.
Disclosure.
Another
Yeah, that was an
vehicle.
NC-17 movie.
Yeah, Body of
Actually, I
Evidence.
take it back. Nothing happens in Disclosure. I just realized.
No, nothing does. That's a great movie, by the way.
She tries to get at him, and he doesn't go for it.
Yeah, Disclosure is fantastic. But you know what? That's what I'm saying though. We have to go all the way back to Basic Instinct to where that makes sense, right?
No, I mean,
in all
there have been-
fairness, that time was about excess. They don't really make movies like that anymore, so that's kind of an unfair draw to begin with,
right.
or
What about
for an
Showgirls?
excuse anyway.
Showgirls.
Showgirls, there you go. That was NC-17.
Yeah. Oh, Hawaiian Nomad brings up a good one. Wild Things.
Hey.
You don't see anything though, not really.
I know, but technically,
you get
that
to
whole
see
movie
you
is
get
all
to see
sexy.
Denise Richards' chest.
Ew.
You get to see full frontal on Kevin Bacon.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wow.
That guy was packing.
Wow. All right, so it's
You
either
can see
better ways
bacon
to pants
sausage
off
link.
or full
You get to see
or
Bacon's hog.
yeah, Bacon's hog. That's the name of the podcast.
That's the name of the podcast.
Cut the bacon off that guy's
Bacon's
back.
hog. That's awesome. I don't
You
know.
can
Better
see-
with your pants off or Bacon's hog. I don't know. I'll choose.
You can see all the crispy bacon.
I just don't. I don't. And I think you guys are.
You know
absolutely
those two
right.
called him in bed, right?
Who?
You know those two girls called him in bed, right?
Yes. In
Quicksilver.
Wild Things. Quicksilver, you're such an idiot. I really. Wild Things. It made sense, but it wasn't really a sex scene per se. That was a great movie. That was actually a good
You know what
movie.
happened in that bed a lot, Greg?
What?
Tremors.
You're such an idiot.
What about Eyes Wide Shut?
You know what's interesting about Eyes Wide Shut?
I thought we were talking about Kevin Bacon movies. I was gonna say he was gonna try a funky sex position, but he couldn't get his foot loose.
Oh,
That's
man.
horrible.
All right, that's
know,
the
it's
name.
pretty
That's
bad.
that's the name of the podcast.
Always end
Bacon's
on a low
hog.
note. I'm sorry. What were you saying, Todd?
Bacon's hog. It's great. Todd, go ahead.
Bacon's hog. No, I was saying Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut though I don't think it was necessarily gratuitous per se. It wasn't for.
You kind of can't do that movie without those parts
That's
because that is
correct.
the
Yeah,
point of the
I'm
story.
not arguing against all sex scenes. It's just most sex scenes that I catch in TV and movies these days, I could really totally do without. Like they don't
True.
like. Yeah.
You guys are prudes.
We're not prudes.
It's
It's not necessary. It's just
I was raised in a
unnecessary.
freaking porn store. I don't mind.
You know what would make me? You know what would make me like Ant-Man a lot more? I think you can guess, Greg.
What? A sex scene?
Do you really want me to explain it, Greg?
No, do not. Because I know where you're going with it, and I'm already regretting even asking.
Because if he can shrink himself and expand himself,
Yeah, it's true.
you know what I'm
I
talking
think
about.
sex scene would work better with Black Goliath, though.
I'm
Wow.
thinking.
Why you got to bring race into it? Just call him Goliath.
Oh, that's true. The MCU's one is not called Black Goliath. My bad.
I will say
Lawrence
that
Fishburne is only known as Goliath in the MCU.
if
Yeah,
there
it's
is,
just Goliath, man. Why you got to bring his race up? That's unnecessary.
That was racist of me. I apologize.
if there's one good thing that has come out of all this woke culture crap, it's the fact that we're seeing less and less of that stuff in movies, which is
Less Black Goliath?
Shut
Well,
up.
I mean,
Less-
honestly, if you have to choose between less sex or less violence, you should choose less violence because sex is a natural act that
now, can I?
everybody performs constantly all
Listen.
the time.
Violence
We
is a
get
pretty
it.
natural act, too.
Sex
Especially
is
when I hear T-Money
natural.
talk for too long.
Sex is good.
Todd just made me sad.
Not everybody does it, but everybody should.
Oh,
Anyway.
yeah, Todd made me sad.
What are we talking about here? Like, you want no sex, more violence?
I want to know. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Todd.
Wait,
And
wait,
I'll-
wait,
It's
wait.
a balance sheet.
Hold on.
Like, if we get rid of the sex, we got to make more violence in the movie.
Okay, I got a different proposition. Why can't we just have violent sex?
I think
again with the Antichrist references.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Gannon has like a list of favorite movies that all involve very violent sex. Like the 4 movies I hear Gannon reference the most are like, I don't dare bring them up in certain company.
Well,
Hawaiian
not
Nomad
as much
says-
as you think, but not as less as you think either.
Hawaiian Nomad says that's controversial, Todd. Now here's the thing. Can I say this about to answer your question, Todd? I'm going to say it from a quote unquote perspective from a parent talking to a kid. Sex is very real, right? It's something that hang on, let me finish. Sex is something that every child, when they become of age, will encounter. But not every child that grows up will ever encounter violence in the same way they do in the movies. But the way sex
you just promise everybody in the world that they're going to get sex at some point, because that's not realistic.
No,
it's definitely not.
I can't wait.
What I'm saying is there's gonna
I think the better quote is George Michael's. Sex is natural. Sex is fun.
Sex is good.
Sex is for just about everyone.
Greg, what's sex like?
What I'm saying is that it's easier to say that, if you see somebody get shot on a movie screen, it's easier to say, hey, listen, that's just make-believe. It's hard to say, hey, listen, when you see somebody having sex on screen, it's hard to say that's make-believe. You catch what I'm saying?
I think that
is this really the point we're talking about?
That's what I think.
There should be what you're talking. I mean, like there's a responsible depiction of both.
I think
that if it's integral to the story, and it's not gratuitous, I think that sex and love is just a natural human condition that everybody should endeavor to enjoy. And
I don't.
But like
no problem with that.
But you guys are talking about, well, we don't need any more sex scenes or love stories. What we need
That's
is
not
more
what we
action.
said.
I'm not saying we need more action. I'm not saying that. I'm not
We
saying
didn't say that
I'm
at
saying
all.
every time I see someone
Way to twist our
on
words
screen,
there, Todd.
Yeah. Every time I see someone bang on screen, I'm like, I don't really need to see this.
Well,
see, I think the opposite.
On screen, they're expressing expressing their love for one another.
Hawaiian Nomad in the chat says violence is also a natural act. I'd rather my kids see exploited violence in movies than exploited sex.
Well, that's ridiculous, because that just encourages that's I can't believe that why
Do you want?
Why do we need to make the world a more violent place?
No, but
I don't think that violence is like a natural everyday occurrence.
That's right. That's the point, Todd. It's not. That's what I was saying. It's not a natural occurrence.
Yeah, what they're saying is they want it to become a natural occurrence.
Oh, okay.
I think he's just trying to say, like, if you're going to sit or Panita down to watch a movie, would you rather show her Ninja Turtles or Basic Instinct?
Right.
I think that's kind of more the point of what that guy means.
It's irresponsible of me to expose my daughter to either one. Actually, I think that.
That's a bummer, man. You know what? You're my same age. No, you're a little younger. Like, you remember? Don't you remember when the first Ninja Turtles movie came out? They told us kids, like, the parents were even like, the news told me I shouldn't bring you to see this because it's a little violent. I was like straight up swearing F words at, I was like, F you, Mom, we're going to see. No.
Can I bring in someone who may have a differing opinion? And she's also a great part of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone say hello to Franny.
Hi, Franny.
Did someone say boning?
Well, that's not fair because Francine was all
me.
for the boning scenes.
And that's my point too. I think that sex and love is a natural occurrence, and it happens. It happens in everyday life. Violence is not an everyday occurrence. It doesn't happen in everybody's life.
It's not every day for me. That's for sure.
You have to choose what you're going to pursue. I mean, you can pursue to be violent, or you can pursue to be in love, but why would
Are you guys talking about reality or fiction?
The thing that started this was just like I was saying, every time I see a sex scene in a movie or a TV show nowadays, I just feel like I could do without it. Like I just see too much
That's
banging.
because your libido is really low. You got low T going on.
I've got low T. I mean, even when my testosterone was slightly higher in my 20s, I would like sit through a sex scene and be like, what was the point of that? It was like, best case scenario, they made me horny and I got a boner. Worst case scenario is like I just watched two people bang and it didn't further the story anymore.
And you weren't invited, so you got upset.
And I wasn't.
So
Poor
I guess,
Alika.
Franny, from your perspective, I guess answer that question and also answer: would you rather? Are you with Todd in the fact that you'd rather see something that was more? Would you be okay to see something more sex oriented and more violence oriented? I guess if that would be the.
And are you talking, guys? You guys are talking about in cinema and film?
Yes,
in television. Okay.
Yes, in film.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes.
So more sex or more violence or both? It's both.
I mean, I don't understand why. I don't see why we have to have either or, and I don't see why we have to have less of it necessarily.
I was just saying I felt like there's too much. I feel like we could shorten these things up by not having to watch the sex scenes.
You're talking like gratuitous sex scenes? Like, are you talking about like no nipples, like all like grunting, all faces?
I'm not being puritanical about it, but like I just feel like the actual physical act of sex doesn't usually further the plot or any character development or anything. And I just it's something to sit through that I don't really enjoy these days.
I mean, I've heard the argument that like a secondary like love story within a storyline is distracting and unneeded, because I feel like a lot of times you watch a movie, a horror movie in particular, there always has to be some sort of like love interest or something, and I feel like it's really distracting, and I feel like if anything there should be less love in movies and more fucking.
I'm with Francine right now. Like that is such a lazy thing in writing. Like there's too much love connection where there doesn't need to be. I'm not saying that if the story isn't well told and it doesn't serve the story, but a lot of times it doesn't. Like they're just like, oh, you're a guy, oh, you're a girl, we're both hot, and then that's the story. That's the whole story.
It's funny. Reason I jumped on is because I was just watching. Well, Johnny had just got this obscure DVD and was putting it on for the family fun entertainment. It's called The Masturbating Gunman. I think it's like a New Zealand movie where all it is this guy who is a gunman. He can't help but masturbate. He's like really good gunman, like amazing. Everyone's terrified of him, but they know that his Achilles heel is a woman like stroking herself. So he has to stop and like jerk off to a copious amount of like milky semen all over his face before he can go on and move on to the next obstacle of killing some guy.
This does not sound like a Hollywood production.
I think it's like New Zealand. It kind of reminds me of like a Peter Jackson movie. It's hilarious and gross. But I mean, for the sake of coming on here, it was both sex and violence, I guess. And it was entertainment. So I guess it depends on like what your idea of entertainment is. Like I'm watching Euphoria. We just watched episode 4, I think it is, of the second season. And I finally got over the whole fetishizing teenagers having sex with gratuitous sex scenes. I feel like Hollywood definitely does that. I feel like America really loves watching films and shows about teenagers. Because when I watched Riverdale, I think I mentioned this before multiple times, but I watched Riverdale and I found myself feeling really awkward. Like I was being a creep for watching these kids have intercourse in a shower. And it really bothered me, and I couldn't watch it for a while, like any type of children, like any minor like interacting in a romantic way started to make me feel like this is just not appropriate. But I think I just finally like realized, well, it's fantasy, it's fiction. These aren't actual children doing it. These are actors. And I think when it comes to entertainment and making films and writing stories and all that stuff, I feel like we shouldn't necessarily be like, I don't know, like if we want to see a movie that doesn't have any hardcore grinding, then we should write a movie that doesn't have it. But I think society is going to decide what it wants to do. I, for one, wish we had more titties in horror. I'm really sad at the amount of like lack of tits that we see. Like I want to see areolas. I want to see like full frontal if we can, some butt cheeks. helps gives a sense of vulnerability within the film and helps build that sort of tension in the film. So I wish we had more of it.
And they're just my family friendly label for this episode.
Hey, those were back in the 80s. Those were family movies.
They are. I mean, I don't understand why everyone's so precious about nudity. Like they're just parts and pieces.
I'm like the nudity part, the puritanical part. I am so on the opposite side. I'm not saying less sex scenes for puritanical reasons. Show boobies and vajayjays and so. In fact, I just want to give a shout out to Peacemaker. Because so many times you see like an actual dick on screen, and
what the?
No, I'm serious.
God.
Peacemaker is the first time you see a real, actual vagina on screen. Usually, when you see a vagina in cinema, it's just the front bush and there's no lips or anything, and it's not.
Did you
actually show
Alika? Did you just say that was the first time you've seen a vagina?
That was the first time I saw. I mean, usually I'm in the dark. They don't let me look. It's crazy.
Holy cow! All right. Well, listen.
Yeah, usually if they don't let you look, that's not a good sign, sir.
I navigate by feel. I'm sorry.
Braille.
We're definitely going to talk about Peacemaker here in a minute. But yeah, Francine, I don't know if I ever want to check out that movie, but
Greg, I'm going to cut you off right there. I put the cover in the chat so you can put it up on the show.
Good Lord. No, I'm not putting it on the show. Are you nuts?
It's great. I mean, it's great.
The cover?
The cover is actually a work of art.
Is a nun. His sister is a nun, and there's like this German like guy who's trying to get his army of like gunmen to procure a virgin, but everyone in the town's not a virgin, so he finds the nun. They find the nun, which happens to be the masturbating gunman's sister. It's kind of fun. I always do my nails while I think it's part of my eye.
Can I just guess what the finale is? Like they bring out the nun for him to wank it to, and he's like, "That's my sister," and then he shoots him.
I think we're a little far off. I probably didn't explain it very well, and I stepped out. I stepped out to comment on you guys before I got to see the end, but
okay.
I spoil it there, Alika.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to spoil it.
I have no idea. I don't know. You could be spot on, but I have a feeling that you just I confused you because it's his sister and he knows and he goes to rescue his sister. So he's not trying to like
rescue.
The German guy is trying to get a virgin pregnant because he's gonna like create a second Christ or something like that. It's really weird.
These New Zealand films, that sounds really weird. Wow. All right,
it's good stuff, guys.
Well, Franny, you are more than welcome to stay with us unless you want to go finish your film. And then you can tell us all about it and report.
It's already over. My family's looking at me like I'm an asshole for leaving. You guys are ruining my marriage.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
You sound like you're really happy about it. I don't know.
It's just horrible. You said that we're ruining your marriage.
I just feel like an overachiever because now I'm ruining 2 marriages.
Yay!
Right, well, Franny, you get back to your family then, and then we want to hear more about this in the chat when we get off air. I want to hear. I want to know how this movie.
Oh, well, I'm not going to watch it again, dude.
No,
just watch the end.
Hours my life.
I'm trying to keep you out of the chat. I want to hear what Francine has to say about stuff.
Okay,
we're gonna have to.
You guys have been doing this for 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours already. It's 2 hours. So that's why we're going
to have to push it to 2 hours and 55 minutes.
There's a lot of story to be told.
Just like regular movies nowadays.
Exactly.
We haven't even gotten to the gratuitous sex scene yet.
Well, since Franny's here, let's moving on from gratuitous sex scenes in movies, let's talk about gratuitous violence in movies because Netflix today released a brand new trailer for their remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, so Franny, since you're here, what are your thoughts on that new Texas Chainsaw?
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm gonna have to watch it regardless, and I'm sad that it keeps coming out on Netflix and not on a theater release. But I don't know, like, yeah, it seems like I don't know if we needed another one, I guess, but it'd be kind of cool to see influencers like get messed up, but I mean, I don't know. it didn't really pique my interest, really, to be honest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Gannon, what about you? You saw it. You're a horror aficionado. What do you think of the trailer? It's coming out in like 2 weeks, so.
Who, me?
Yeah, you're Gannon.
I mean, when it comes to the Texas Chainsaw franchise and the Halloween franchise, I'm just kind of getting tired of these sequels that come out and wash away everything that came before. Only because, like, if it's a franchise, then like you're thinking it's building up towards something, whereas they just keep doing these resets to where something you'd seen and maybe even got invested in on some kind of level now doesn't count. Because at this point, like, this is now a sequel to the original, so anything between 1974 till now didn't happen.
Right.
So we're looking at a Leatherface that's in his 70s, maybe even pushing 80 at this point. And you're seeing him pick people up with his chainsaw and stuff like that. It's just like, it takes me out of it just to look at it from that point of view altogether. The way it looks great. I mean, but so did the original remake, which of course now doesn't count. So I don't know. It's just that I just don't really like how these franchises keep resetting it constantly. Like, we just had one that was a reset from the original one. That completely
was that 10 years ago? Was that
was called
10 years
I think at this rate, Texas Chainsaw 3D was almost 10 years ago, if not 10 years ago.
Okay, are you talking about Texas Chainsaw, or are you talking about the recent one, Leatherface?
Oh, geez. See, now I'm confused.
Because there's Texas Chainsaw, they got rid of the massacre part, and then there's the one
that was going in 3D, right, with Alexandra Daddario?
Yes.
There was another one after that?
Yes, Leatherface. Don't you remember?
Maybe I didn't see it. I don't know.
Stephen Dorff was in it.
You know what? I don't know if I saw it.
I don't think I saw that one either.
Wow.
I'm not sure I saw that one.
What the heck?
But that just goes into my point. Like, there's constantly the reset button thrown on this thing, and it's just like you're trying to follow it as a franchise, but you can't anymore. It's just like everything that comes out washes away everything that came before. So you're just kind of like whatever at a certain point, which is what it feels like. The franchise is just whatever. I even have a hard time with the Halloween franchise too, how it kind of just disavows anything past the first movie, because you don't want to. The first film is the classic, right? The untouchable thing. So that's what you're using as your focal point now to move forward, which robs anything that came before on any kind of creative level that you might have even liked. Because Texas Chainsaw 2 is actually pretty damn good. In some cases, better than the first one.
I agree. I completely agree.
And yet that doesn't count anymore.
Yeah, those are great. I'm really not looking forward to seeing the third Halloween. Like, I know I will watch it, but I'm not really looking forward to it. I didn't really like the last one that Homie did. It's just really disappointing. So it's like we got to see these things that were pretty beloved and precious to us get eroded. It's really I agree with you
guys. There it is for you guys right there. The Leatherface.
Oh, he's younger in that one, yeah?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a decent one. Hawaiian Mod in the chat says, so someone forces you to make your 9-year-old watch either new Texas Chainsaw Massacre or full-length Bang Bros.
Jesus Christ.
Jeez,
maybe Turner Classic Movies he wants us to watch.
Yeah.
Sorry, for me, it's all about
full double penetration.
He says Hawaiian Nomad says I say chainsaw first.
Chainsaw. Okay. Fine.
Yeah. So sorry for me. It's all about what the kid sees. So dial down the sexploitation. Keep it all in balance. Should be fun and tasteful. Hawaiian Nomad.
To that point, even though we weren't making that point, I will just say we're kids of the 80s and 70s. And there's a lot of titties and bush in those movies. And,
you have to keep saying that.
And we all came out just fine.
Yeah, look at us.
We did come out of that bush.
All of those titties and bushes.
Yeah, my kid's doing pretty good. He's 15, and we've never censored him with anything that he's watched ever. It doesn't matter how violent or how sexual it was. And
the thing is, some people might be like, you had him watching Pink Flamingos with you guys one time at the shop, and some people were like, "How old is that kid?" And I was like, he's older than I was when I saw this movie. That, so that was, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's honestly, I know you want to keep kids innocent, but you also got to prepare them for life and not trust them to make their own judgments. Like, reality exists. The world is real. You know, there's
Well,
not.
and here's the thing too, is like you have to have an honest conversation with your kids about what the difference between fantasy and reality is.
Reality is.
When
Yeah, I
you
agree.
watch something on television, you're watching actors, you're watching a director, you're watching a whole crew, special effects artists, lighting, all that great stuff. It's a whole project that goes into creating this story for you. Is it reality? Maybe it's based on reality, but it's not really what happened. And it's not something that we can repeat whenever we want to, because we have to have, we have to understand what's appropriate. I don't know. You can have that conversation. Kids are smart. They'll figure it out. You just got to like remind them every once in a while.
And that's the point, is I think it's better to err on the side of respecting the intelligence of a sentient being. Always. Not, in raising your kids, of course. Just in all things, respecting the intelligence of sentient beings would solve so many problems. Just trusting people to, use the intelligence that they have.
Yeah. Yeah. But I will say that I think that if I'm with Hawaiian Nomad, I would definitely take Texas Chainsaw. I'm not going to lie.
I think
Did you see the DP, the Deadpool?
What's that?
I think that there's a fallacy with the question, because neither one of those are very healthy depictions of violence or sex.
True. Good point, Todd.
So,
Good point.
what you're talking about is something that's been fetishized, and it's there. You're talking about a genre that both genres are there to specifically elicit like a physical response from you. So you're talking about pornography on one hand, where you're trying to get your audience very aroused, and then you're talking about horror on the other hand, where you're activating somebody's fight or flight mechanism, and you have a real physical, visceral response to a horror movie. And I would come down on the fact that neither one of those are particularly healthy depictions of violence or sex.
I agree.
Hawaiian Nomad wanted us to choose one, though.
That's true. That was the question. That was the question.
By the way, Todd,
you can choose one or the other, but really, you're not choosing a.
Todd,
that's not what I was talking about before.
Todd, you need to stop right there, because for starters, Texas Chainsaw makes me very horny, so they both get the same response out of me.
That's okay.
Can I ask you guys?
Have you seen Grandma's titties in that one? Sorry.
Yeah, Grandma's titties.
Speaking of, there needs to be a 70s cop show called Titties and Bush.
I agree. Detective Titties and Sergeant Bush.
Such idiot.
Did anybody else read the Eric Powell graphic novel, the new one? Did you hear what Eddie Gain did?
Yeah. I bought 2 copies of that.
I love it. I've been giving it as gifts too. Eddie Gain, obviously, you people who are horror aficionados know Texas Chainsaw Massacre is based on him. Other horror movies are based on Eddie Gain. Yeah, after reading that book, I'm like,
he's an alright guy.
I can relate to that. He also felt awkward when watching sex scenes.
I was learning a lot about arts and crafts from reading that book. No,
he's a real DIY guy.
Yeah, he's.
He made some pretty sweet belt.
He did. Should have seen what he kept in his shoebox, though.
I like a movie that was a straight depiction as told by the I forget the writer's name, but Eric Powell and whoever the writer was. Like that would be a more fascinating movie than over glorified like crazy Chainsaw Massacre. By this point, that's played out already. Now I want to see like the real thing.
The real deal, because I agree that was illustrated so well, and from the point of view of Eddie and how he saw his mother, and
so good.
Like it was just really brilliant. I think they did a great job with that. And if any of you guys haven't read the book, you should go get one at Maui Comics and Collectibles.
Totally. I stocked
up. You
can't
get Mouse there, but you can get that book there.
Well, because there's more sex in the Eddie Gain book, so.
Oh well, I guess none of us are actually looking forward to this new Texas Chainsaw film. I guess you can check out the Netflix trailer on YouTube.
Killed it for me? You know what killed it for me? That stupid millennial joke at the end of the trailer.
Oh, the one on the bus or something
I
like that.
absolutely hated that. That was so
Yeah.
dumb, so
Oh, we're
forced,
gonna get
and
you
so
canceled.
lame.
Yeah, that was dumb.
It was
Really dumb.
such a cheap gag. It literally felt like something that would have happened in a scary movie.
Yeah.
See, you know what's so funny? You mentioned that. I was just thinking that we're sitting here as old fogies, as it were, so worried about what the kids consume
Speak
and
for yourself.
what they watch on television or what you need to explain and talk to them. Social media has become their new. That's like their new crack, and they don't care about movies the way we do. You know, so maybe.
They are
Are
experiencing.
you saying this from a child? Are you saying this from a millennial, like as a millennial's perspective? Or are you saying this from an outsider looking at what they process?
As an outsider looking in, it seems like they're more fascinated with what's going on social media and how that fantasy of living out what other people are doing is more engaging than, say, a movie is. You know?
I don't know how true that is. I feel like
I
think the movies are engaging the young audience pretty well.
You think so?
I think No Way Home. I think No Way Home is a good example of that because the audience is not us middle-aged comic fans. It really is the younger kids like talking about No Way Home.
All right, if that
I mean, like Lionel's and his kid, all the kids in his grade right now. I mean, they won't shut up about Euphoria. They're glued to that. So it's just about what story is being told to them and what they're interested in. Maybe people are just maybe not interested in a World War II movie like you might be.
Well, let's put it. What if we stick a sex scene between Peter Parker and Mary Jane in the Spider-Man No Way Home? Then what?
I got one better.
What?
All 3 Spider-Mans bang.
Spider Bang. Got it.
It's called the baby elephant walk.
And they just shoot webs all over each other.
Oh, Kathy's right. Kathy's right. She says she's right about this. The younger kids are definitely Netflix and other platforms. Oh, Hawaiian Nomad he's kind of agreeing with me. They like movies only so they can go tweet about it after.
Kids aren't on Twitter. Only old people are on Twitter.
What?
Twitter is such a cesspool. Like, how is that even a thing still?
Yeah,
Twitter is for old people.
Yeah, Twitter is a cesspool. Well, Facebook is technically for old people. Let's be fair.
They would probably Snapchat about it.
Yeah, or right, they would Snapchat about it. That's very true. Or TikTok about it. TikTok is
huge, or go on Discord and talk about how lame their mom is for being on this dumb podcast. Old guy.
How dare you? How dare you?
I'm sorry, I used the word dumb.
How dare you? She's talking about herself.
Oh. That's a good point. Kathy's right. She says that's why most movies are targeting those social media platforms and not the movie theaters. That makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because the movie theaters need to make it a different experience. They need to do how we were doing with cinema. They need to make it a more interactive, social experience.
And they trend on their phones and their devices. That makes sense.
Yeah, they need to make it parties. They need to make it where you have designer drugs there and a selfie platform where you can take selfies. And theaters need to reinvent.
Just flew by the designer drugs part.
It's crazy. We're the last generation that could probably live without a phone or one of these, a computer or the internet. And we could
Not me.
You say that while doing a podcast on Facebook.
That's what I just said. I said if we had to, we'd be able to survive.
I love. By the way, on the note of podcasts and popular culture, I absolutely love how podcasters are the least respected characters in fiction in any the movie. Like in the movie Tusk, they're like, it's okay that they turned Justin Long into a walrus because
he's a podcaster.
Podcasters are dumb.
True.
That is so true.
That happens in Halloween because they're trying to do a podcast about Michael Myers and he kills them first, probably the most viciously out of everybody in that movie.
Yeah. That's man.
He literally hands the girl all the other guy's teeth, and I'm just like, damn, he didn't do that to anybody else in any of these movies.
Yeah. Turning around then. It's turning around then because the kid from Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, hey. Was he respected in that movie? Was he
He got skeeted all over at the end of that movie, dude.
Skeet.
Wow.
Was it Ghost Skeet? Because that's kind of more respectful than humans.
Was it all 3 Spider-Man Skeet? That'd be hot. It was ahead of its time.
All right. Well, listen.
God. Alika, you need to find a comic book where somebody wrote Skeet instead of Thwip.
Well, Todd's a
Somebody
great
must have
letterer.
done
He
it.
can just he can just do a custom job.
Okay, if anybody knows anything about me, they know me about my custom jobs.
Wow. Holy cow. Well, listen, gentlemen and lady. I'm gonna do our
I'm no
Blu-ray.
lady, sir.
Excuse me.
He was talking to Todd.
I was talking to Todd. I'm gonna go through our
Stop
Blu-ray
it, Gannon.
releases.
You're embarrassing me.
I'm gonna go through our Blu-ray releases for the week. Next week, I'm gonna talk more about video games because we got new video games coming out. That pretty much does it for the show. I think. I think we've kind of touched on everything. Yeah.
We're almost at 2 hours and 55 minutes, man. Pat it.
Can I say real quick that I was just checking out the releases that are coming out for horror movies this year, and I didn't realize that Ari Aster's coming out with a movie. It's called Disappointment Boulevard.
Right. Yeah. I
I'm
like Ari
excited.
Aster.
You guys knew this, and you guys didn't tell me.
I'm sorry. Ari Aster, of course, as you know, Ari Aster is the director of one of my favorite movies from the past few years, Hereditary, and he's also the director of Midsommar, which I also thought was a very good film. And his next film is going to be coming out, I believe, this year, called Disappointment Boulevard. And
it's the sequel to Nightmare Alley,
or it's the sequel to the Disappointments Room with Kate Beckinsale.
My joke was funnier.
No, it wasn't.
I almost thought you were serious for a hot second, Gannon, and then I had a question.
See, that's why mine worked. You had to go ruin it by bringing up a whole other movie that everybody forgot about.
I want you to know something. According to IndieWire, they say that Ari Aster says his next movie will be a 4-hour nightmare comedy.
Yay!
So, yes,
great. I love it.
Yeah, it'll be
I think
interesting.
you should cut that down to make it more succinct.
Yeah, I think you should.
I agree.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Gannon.
I think it should be an hour and 59 minutes, including credits.
Including credits. I agree 100%.
As long as it needs to be.
He can have a
being,
post-credit scene, but it has to include Iron Man.
I can sit through 6 hours of Arrested Development in one sitting. I'm sure I could sit through one of those. It'd be great.
Well, I tell you what, I want to say that I am a big fan of A24. A24 is the reason why we have Ari Aster. A24 has given us a lot of really interesting movies, including Lamb and Saint Maud and things of that nature.
Ari Aster's parents are the reason why we have Ari Aster.
That's very true. Good point.
Hey, let's not talk about that because we shouldn't have any kind of sex anywhere.
That's right.
We should outlaw all depictions and all
Nobody brought up sex.
That's right, Todd. That's right. No sex in those
Wait
movies.
Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
There's a sex scene in Midsommar. Should they have taken that out?
Well, but it was okay. It was purposeful for the film. Now
it was awesome.
It was, I don't know about awesome. It was very awkward.
It's pretty hot, man. When she grabs his butt cheeks and starts pushing him down.
Yeah, it wasn't awkward for me, G. That was like
pretty hot. I can think of so many times where I wish somebody would do that to me.
Just make sure you got up in there. Get the job done.
Terrible.
Get it done.
All right, Ari Aster looks. I'm very excited for the Disappointments Boulevard film. I hope it's good. Now let's find out this week what's happening this week in Blu-rays. Of course, as you know, February 1st is tomorrow. For us, but maybe today or whenever for you. February 1st releases for 2022. Let's get started, shall we? We'll start with some of the lower tier stuff. First off is Slumber Party Massacre coming out on Blu-ray today. That's from Shout Factory. I'm not sure which one it is though. I'm not sure. It's not.
Does it have a 1 or a 2 or a 3 on it?
No. It has just Slumber Party Massacre.
So that'd be number 1, I would think.
Also on Blu-ray today is a great horror film, if you want, by Kino Lorber from 1978, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, a great remake of a classic film. That's the one starring Donald. Yeah, this one with Donald Sutherland and Jeff Goldblum. Yeah, good movie.
Yeah, that's good.
The one where he goes.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
You're so good at that, Gannon.
Also on Blu-ray for this week is a film that very few people saw, but it was a great turn for Andrew Garfield. Mainstream is on Blu-ray today. or on Blu-ray on tomorrow. Mainstream, very interesting flick. I don't want you. I don't want to tell you anything about it. Seek it out if you can. Mainstream, very interesting. Andrew Garfield, Jason Schwartzman. It's actually pretty cool. Check it out. Also, today in new releases, I don't know why we're getting it, but I do know why we're getting it, because this is the 4K release. It's the 4K release of Mad Max: The Road Warrior on 4K Blu-ray. It's the corrected disc. They had an issue with the printing of the original disc, so that's why we're getting that today. That's right. I forgot about that. Also on Blu-ray,
an anthology release of that too.
Yeah, that's the one. They're also sending out. They sent it out the corrections for that.
No. Aren't they reissuing the entire set of all of them?
You are correct, sir.
I thought I saw Box set of that too.
Yeah, they are. That is correct. The Mad Max anthology is out on Tuesday as well. The whole anthology. Also on Blu-ray today, a 90s classic, it's its 30th anniversary. Wayne's World is out on Blu-ray today. It's I guess the 30th anniversary Party On edition. Steelbook.
30 years.
Yeah. But do you not like that? Don't you like?
I don't
Wayne's
like
World?
that it's 30 years old. I love that movie, but I don't like that it's 30 years old.
Great movie. Speaking of great movies, if you haven't seen it, definitely seek this 4K Blu-ray out. Almost Famous, starring Kate Hudson, it's basically Kate Hudson and Billy Crudup, and it's basically the story of its director Cameron Crowe, and how he had toured with a band back in the late 70s. Almost Famous is a great film. You should check it out, and it's in 4K. So cool. And last but certainly not least, and I am so jealous, and I'm jealous because Gannon already has a copy of it. Ghostbusters Afterlife is in 4K, and also Ghostbusters Ultimate Collection 4K Blu-ray, and Gannon has got the 4K Blu-ray Ultimate Collection, which has the actual ghost trap as a storage case. So that's pretty amazing.
The whole box is a ghost trap. It's got the 3 movies in it. It's got an extra disc, which is all bonus features that haven't been released anywhere else, including some deleted scenes from part 2. But another selling point for it is that it also comes with the reproduction of the Making Ghostbusters book, which came back out when the first movie came out. It's been long out of print, and it's actually highly sought after, pretty valuable. So
nice.
Anybody that's wanted that book that doesn't maybe want to pay $200 or $300 for it can actually just get it with this set.
Cool. Hey, Todd, Hawaiian Nomad's got to go, but he says he loves you.
Aww.
That's what he said. He said he's going to catch another episode of Ozark on Netflix. I have to watch that show. But he says he loves you, Todd. I don't know were you guys friends?
I'll tell you after the show.
All right. Friends with benefits. I got it.
Was there titties and bushes involved with that?
Whoa!
Like
I definitely have to put an explicit thing on this one now. For real.
All right. Bush.
Titties inside the bush.
You have to protect the uncleansed masses from titties and bush.
What if we swap the letters? We can go biddies and tush.
Biddies, I like biddies and tush. That's cool.
Of course you do. We know you like
biddies and tush. That's cute. That's cute. I like that. Todd, I got something for you before we leave. Just so that you know that your opinion is wrong, because this tells me that you are wrong or incorrect about it. I want you to know what the front cover of Ghostbusters Afterlife says. The critics say it's perfect, and it's a new classic. So I just want you to know that's what the front cover says, Todd, and you're wrong.
He's got you there.
Yeah. So you're wrong. Maybe make it full screen so you guys can see it. All right. It's perfect according to the New York Post. Yeah.
What's cool about that cover? What's cool about that cover though is that was originally fan art that Jason Reitman had seen and actually asked that they could use it for the physical media release, because that's not a poster from when it came out.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. It's a new classic, Todd. Live with it. Anyway, we are out of time, ladies and gentlemen. It's been absolutely wonderful. Franny, I love having you on the show, even with your dirty mouth.
I can take that. I know you love my dirty mouth.
Greg, we're 12 minutes away from being 2 hours and 55 minutes.
All right, 12. What are we gonna
Hey,
seriously?
Greg,
plan
what about my dirty mouth? I feel like I swore more than Francine did.
You did.
You don't like my dirty mouth?
I hate to
I
say
like
this,
that
but
areolas. Was it the areola word? Is that what you didn't
Yeah.
like?
no, it wasn't that. Franny has a much prettier mouth than you, Alika.
I don't like the way you said that.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
See what I
I'm
do with
creeped
this
out.
pretty mouth.
Kiss G Money's mom.
Kathy, thank you so much for joining us tonight. She says, "Good night, guys. It was a fun one
Oh.
tonight. We need more Franny."
Right,
Oh, look at that! We need more
We
Franny.
need, I know,
Oh,
detective
Franny.
nipples.
Well,
Thanks, our
Kathy,
one
we
fan.
love you. We love you, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad you guys had a good time. We will be back next week, of course. Phormat, am I missing something? It's like you had something on the tip of your tongue. You wanted
There's
to
like
say.
a whole bunch of news today.
What happened? Well,
But you gave it up for a 2-hour discussion about a book no one wants.
Thank God.
Jesus.
I was sleeping after this.
All right,
The
all
Rings
right.
of Power
Look,
got announced. Jason Momoa in Fast 10.
Fast 10,
The
yeah.
Halo series.
Yeah, the new Halo series. We'll talk about all that
Sony
next
is
week.
looking to buy out
No,
Bungie.
we'll talk about now.
Well, Sony is going to buy out Bungie. That is also true.
Good
We
grief,
got
man.
We got
But
into
yeah, let's
listen,
go talk about this book.
we
Sweet.
got into the weeds.
Then you
It
get
was,
into the
listen,
movie
it's
thing.
it's not often that Todd gets a subject.
What are
that
you
he wants to
talking
talk
about?
Stop couching it
It's
in
not
Todd.
often that Todd is on the show.
It's true.
It's not
When
about
he's here, he always gets topics.
you know
What are you
that
talking about?
you know that G Money loves the culture war stuff. That's him. He loves.
Hey,
That's
listen,
what he wants to.
it was important. That part was important. And
And I'm
Todd,
not saying that Todd isn't welcome on the show. It's that he's not on the show because
That's what I'm
he's so
hearing.
busy making his artwork.
I'm I don't know. I don't know how welcome Todd is on the show. You raised a good point.
Todd, I don't know. How welcome are you, Todd?
I'm not. Well, I don't feel very welcome right now.
What else you got for us, Phormat?
Yeah, well, no, we will. I definitely want to
so
dig
much
into.
more.
I mean, you hear all those things, the topics that Phormat brought up. He's got a point. Those are. I'm like, damn. I kind of wanted to talk about that.
I definitely want to talk
Nerd
about
news.
Tomorrow night podcast. Let's do this.
I wanted
we
to
lost
talk.
Gannon.
We lost Gannon, but anyway, I did want to talk about. We definitely have to talk about Sony buying Bungie, which is crazy. We definitely have to talk. Well, Jason Momoa being part of Fast and Furious is interesting, based on the fact that now he has to replace The Rock, so he could replace him with
gonna
another
be?
Polynesian. Yeah. And it's Jason
Dom's
Momoa.
other brother?
Yeah,
That's it.
Dom's other brother.
Isn't that like a common plot device? Didn't they already do that in 2 Fast movies? Like,
They
didn't somebody
did.
else come back as somebody's
Something like
forgotten
that.
long lost brother too?
That is true. Somebody did something
Charlize
like that. for
Theron
sure.
is like his sister, and then there's a whole there's so much.
By the way, this is going to give us more fodder to talk about next week, because also next week I'm going to talk about Dying Light 2, which is coming out on Thursday night.
Cool. You guys could also tell me your emotional reactions to watching The Masturbating Gunman. So I want to hear a full report on that. Please.
I'm not going to watch.
I think that movie needs
No, I'll
a
never
NERDWatch
be.
commentary.
There it is. Okay, I'm sold.
Just
now.
looking
All
at
right,
the,
bye,
at the block
Franny.
art, I mean,
Good
I'm a
night.
fan of the art.
Oh my
I
gosh.
think we
Anyway.
all need to be sitting in the same room watching it together.
Oh. Do we have to make eye contact?
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's
With
what-
each other?
All right. Well, this has been an
And then
unexpected.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Violence or sex? What's
What's better? What's your
Todd,
favorite?
Todd,
Violence or
look at me.
sex?
Todd, look at me when you say that.
I mean, if people start whipping it out, then I guess
Well,
All
what
right.
if someone whips it out and then somebody punches that person? Then it's the best of both worlds.
That is.
there you go.
Next week, we'll expound more on all those topics. I definitely want to talk about Dying Light 2 next week. It's a huge game for February. There's going to be a lot of big games for February, which I want to talk about. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, well, we will. I definitely want to know everyone's thoughts on Jason Momoa joining Vin Diesel in Fast 10 and 11, because it's going to be a 2-part or something. I guess it's going to be a 2-part movie.
It's
So
part 10A and part 10B.
it's gonna be like Sopranos.
There you go.
Totally
And
makes
in the
sense.
end, it was all a dream.
Totally makes sense.
And then
Todd,
they can bring back Paul Walker and reanimate his CGI Force Ghost.
he's not dead yet in the movies. He's still alive, Todd. In the movies, don't you see his Skyline that's in the movie, the Nissan Skyline he drives?
I
He's there all
haven't
the
watched
time.
any of those movies. I'm not really into that or Transformers.
Wow. At this point, those two movie franchises are almost the same.
Right.
Yeah, they're almost the same.
They should cross over at some point.
They should cross over at some point. That would be awesome.
That would be a very surprising crossover. I feel like I could see that happening.
That'd be so sweet. I could see that that happening. It's too bad that one is owned by Paramount, the other by Universal.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of cool.
Bumblebee off a cliff.
Todd, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No.
Yay!
I feel like Phormat's heard me talk enough tonight. So
That's a good point. That's a good point. Todd, your contributions are well founded. I appreciate you being on here. How by the way?
Indubitably.
Yeah, by the way, how is issue 12 coming for Kukui Project?
I'm on page 8.
Wow, how many pages is it going to be?
I don't know, 36 at least, maybe 40.
Whew. Man, when are you going to have it done by? When do you think?
2026.
Is that like a page a year? 2 pages a year.
2 pages a year, man.
2 pages a year. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Alika, Maui Comics. What's going on with them? What's going on with you guys? And are you guys open for business? How's everything going? What's the deal?
Yeah, things are great. Come get your comics. I'm not getting the Diamond shipment this week. But I'll go restock the Marvel and DC shelves and stuff for the subscribers. The subscribers know. I directly talk with them, but if you go up and want to see something on the racks, it's just going to be DC and Marvel this week. The indie stuff is going to be next week because I leapfrog the Diamond shipment. I have to hold it on Oahu every other week.
All right. So make sure that you remember that I always say that the catchphrase for Maui Comics now is ask for Alika, see what happens, and then that's how. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, I prefer fuck around and find out.
Cool, can I swear now?
No, you cannot.
Let it
You
rip.
just swear. What do you mean
Let
I
it
cannot?
rip.
Don't let it rip.
Pick your favorite swear and say it, Kai.
Format.
I like
before
how
we take-
Kai was waiting.
I know.
He
was waiting.
Usually I just
needed
drop in and just go with.
He needed permission. Format, before we take
Yeah,
off,
I
anything
need
you'd like,
permission for Phormat to give us more news.
you'd like to add?
Who?
No.
Me or Phormat?
I mean, you said we're gonna cover it all next week, right?
Next week. Keep that list
So
going.
no movie
So
talk, no
right.
comics talk,
No
no
comics.
cartoon.
no,
We're going straight into the news that I got.
that's right. News that you got. That's good.
The
But
station.
it's gonna happen. We're gonna talk
hold
about
you
that.
to it. If not, I'm gonna.
Well, format will keep the list, which is great. So we'll talk about that stuff. So it'll be fun. Anyway,
Man, I'm gonna keep a list.
yeah. Anyway, we are out of time, boys and girls. Have a wonderful Monday evening. Have a great rest of your week. I'm sure there'll be something big coming out next week. And by the way, just to let you know, the rumor now is that the finale of Boba Fett is going to feature Han Solo and Chewbacca.
It's on IMDb. It's not that hard to realize.
Right. It's on IMDb now. They let it go. They let it loose.
Spoilers.
We'll see. We'll see. Spoilers. So
Thanks
anyway,
for hanging out with us tonight.
Yes, please.
leave a review.
mhm.
5 stars are
For preferred.
appreciated, but not necessary.
Yeah, they're not-
Any
they're
review is
preferred.
fine.
Yeah.
We'll take whatever stars you have in your pocket.
All right. I'm still debating whether or not this show should be called Bacon's Hog or Biddies and Tush. I'm not sure. I'll figure it out sometime.
Fuck it. Why not both?
Hey, Knock it off.
Let it rip, Kai. Let it rip.
Biddies and tush and tush and tush.
Biddies and tush. I like that as well. I don't know. Bacon's hog is great though. We'll figure it out. Anyway.
What about having your pants down?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's better with your pants off. Oh, we'll figure out something. Anyway, for Todd, for Alika, for Kai and his dirty mouth, and for Phormat, I am G Money. Peace out. Much love. And most certainly, always stay nerd. We'll see you back here next time on the Nerd Watch. Aloha.